Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Just do it when it crosses your mind. With that thought, Ling took a deep breath and activated his space drive skill once more. A powerful gust of wind wrapped around him, crackling faintly in the air. Then slowly, his feet began to lift off the ground. I'm flying, he gasped. Ecstatic, Ling couldn't hold back. Who cared if someone saw him? This was flight. With a sharp whoosh, he shot into the sky like a missile, slicing through the clouds at an insane speed. For a moment, panic kicked in. But it passed, floating high above the city. With clouds above and skyscrapers below, he felt like a god among mortals. The view was breathtaking, the feeling intoxicating. He wanted to scream out, to roar in triumph. But then, warning bells. His energy bar blinked red. Only 10 stamina points left. Shit. Eyes wide, Ling dove down fast. He braced for the worst, but luck stayed on his side. He landed safely, collapsing onto the ground in a heap of relief. Too close. He wiped the cold sweat from his brow. The adrenaline faded, replaced by a deep exhaustion. Note to self: power means nothing without the energy to back it. Even his powerful lightning control at level 4 would be useless without sufficient mental strength to sustain it. He did some quick math. Space drive at full strength, level 3, drained 5 stamina per use. With a stamina pool of 30, he could use it just 6 times, maybe 7 in a pinch. If he used it repeatedly, he'd be drained in 3 minutes flat. As for his lightning skills, even worse. Each use consumed 10 points of mental energy. Just a few bursts, and he'd be running on fumes. It was clear, if he wanted to go further, he had to grow stronger, smarter, tougher. Checking his stats, he saw he still had 11 free attribute points. After some thought, he distributed them. +5 to mental power, +2 each to strength and agility, +1 to stamina. New status panel. Strength, 32. Agility, 32. Stamina, 31. Mental power, 30. Charisma, 9. Ding. Mental power reached a milestone. Initiating random reward draw. Congratulations. You received +5 charisma. Charisma? Ling chuckled. Sure, 5 points might make him more attractive, maybe even charming, but he wasn't here to win beauty contests. Even so, a warm current surged through his body. His skin grew smoother, eyes deeper, and his aura more refined. Elegant, almost. He caught a glimpse of himself in a glass pane and smirked. Not bad, but without lingering on it, he turned and began walking toward Longwan Villa. As he pushed open the villa door, Ling paused. He expected the house to be quiet. It was late. Instead, he saw Lu Muhan sitting in the living room, lost in thought. Dong Lu? He asked, surprised. Were you waiting for me? Huh? Oh, you're back, she said, blinking. Her tone was sharp. Why are you so late? Ling scratched his head. I went to see a movie with some friends. Friends? She echoed, narrowing her eyes. What girl? Busted. He scratched his nose, and that alone gave her all the confirmation she needed. She huffed softly, but then her expression shifted. She looked at him again, something unreadable behind her gaze. Are you hungry? What? He blinked. He was a little hungry. Burning through energy earlier had left him drained, but that wasn't what caught him off guard. She never asked things like this. Wait, he tilted his head. Are you hungry? Couldn't sleep? Without answering, Lu Muhan stood up. Come on, I'll get you something to eat. Wait a moment. Lu Muhan's voice was firm, more serious than usual. Sit down. I'll cook you a bowl of noodles. Ling blinked. You're cooking noodles? For me. He raised an eyebrow, half in disbelief. Since when does the mighty President Lu know how to cook? But her face didn't show any hint of sarcasm, only quiet sincerity. Seeing that, Ling chuckled. All right then. Thank you, Madam Chef. MHM. Lu Muhan nodded once, turned around, and walked toward the kitchen. Yet as she left the room, Ling's playful smile slowly faded. Her eyes were red. She's been crying. It wasn't just fatigue or dust. He knew her too well. Lu Muhan didn't cry unless something really broke her. Not even a collapsing company would bring tears to her eyes. Could something have happened to her grandfather? He wondered, his gaze drifting instinctively toward Villa Number 1. A few minutes later, she returned with a steaming bowl in her hands. Yang Ling stared at it. The contents were questionable. A clump of noodles floated in a murky broth, colored half black and half red. Unidentifiable specks bobbed on the surface. He looked up at her, amused. Lu Muhan's cheeks flushed. She quickly turned away and muttered, "If you don't want it, don't eat it. I'm not forcing you." "Sister, this isn't about want or not." He thought helplessly. Is this even edible? Still, it was her effort, her gesture, and seeing her quietly waiting for his reaction, Yang Ling couldn't just reject it. So, with the courage of a man walking into battle, he picked up a suspicious-looking noodle and took a bite. His jaw froze for a second. Then he smiled. Tastes great, Dong Lu. You should try some too." "Really?" A hint of joy flickered across Lu Muhan's face. "Ding. You have fulfilled Lu Muhan's wish. Eat the noodles she cooked." Wish value +1. Current progress, 4/10. Yang Ling held out a noodle with his chopsticks. "Come on, try a bite." Lu Muhan's eyes widened. "Those are the same chopsticks he just used. Isn't that an indirect kiss?" Her face turned scarlet, but after a moment's hesitation, she leaned forward and took the noodle. The next moment, her face contorted, and she instantly spat it out. Her whole body trembled. You lied to me." Yang Ling burst into laughter. "I didn't lie. I just didn't mention the taste." She glared at him, but couldn't help chuckling too. She realized it then. He must have noticed her sadness and pulled this stunt just to cheer her up. A bittersweet smile curved her lips. "Am I really that useless? Can't even cook a bowl of noodles properly." Yang Ling shook his head gently. "No, you just forgot the seasoning. Watch." He got up and walked into the kitchen, returning with a handful of condiments: pepper, vinegar, sugar, soy sauce. With practiced ease, he added a bit of each, stirred the bowl carefully, and placed it back in front of her. "Try again," he said with a soft smile. Lu Muhan wasn't really hungry anymore, but his sincerity touched her. She picked up a noodle and tasted it. The bitterness was still there, but now sweetness followed. A strange sweetness that didn't just reach her tongue, but her heart. She looked up at him, dazed. "How did you do that?" Yang Ling smiled. "Even messy noodles can become delicious with a little seasoning. There's bitterness and sweetness in everything, just like life." His words struck something deep in her chest. Her fingers tightened around her chopsticks. Eyes red again, she whispered hoarsely, "Life isn't that simple. People can be changed by things, but they can't always change the things around them." She looked directly at him now, her voice trembling. "Ling, let's get a divorce." Yang Ling was taken aback when he heard the words, but didn't say anything, but stared at the beautiful woman in front of him. In the past, he thought that the most beautiful girl he met in his life was Fang Yue, but he didn't know that there is such a beautiful girl in the world until he met this female CEO. He knew that it was his honor and blessing to have such a wife. But at this moment, on Lu Muhan's exquisite and almost perfect face, 2 tear stains quietly slipped down, and that desolate and sad expression made people even more thrillingly beautiful. Yang Ling stared at her, and Lu Muhan also stared at him with teary eyes. There was reluctance, helplessness, an array of despair hidden in those eyes. With a soft sigh, Yang Ling smiled slightly. "You are crying like this. It seems that I am worthless in your heart." Lu Muhan felt even more desolate when she heard the words. She shook her head vigorously and said, "Don't ask. I won't tell you the reason. Separation is good for both of us. You're still my vice president, but from now on us." Thinking of the sad place, Lu Muhan's voice choked up, and the tears couldn't stop falling down. Yang Ling handed her a few tissues, smiled slightly, and said, "Actually, I guessed it even if you didn't tell me. Do you want to give it to someone else? It can make you sad like this. That person must be very important to you." Lu Muhan's heart was twisted like a knife, but he didn't know how to express it. He just bit his lower lip tightly, to keep his tears from bursting. Yang Ling's judgment can't be wrong. Lu Muhan's intimacy has reached 80, which is almost a state of love. The fact that she is crying at this moment is enough to show how much she holds in her heart. To be able to make her say such things as divorce, I am afraid that there is really a reason that she has to give up. Yang Ling sighed softly, walked up to the girl suddenly, stared at Lu Muhan seriously, and said, "Do you believe me? If you trust me, then tell me the matter. There is no obstacle in the world, and I will take care of everything." Through the hazy tears, Lu Muhan saw the young man's firm eyes. That's right. He's that little man who can create miracles time and time again. The man who doesn't change his face when Mount Tai collapses in front of him. Still my husband. Ling. Lu Muhan let out a mournful cry, let go of all his reserve, let go of all his persistence, and hugged Yang Ling tightly. She choked up and said, Mom said she was going on a trip this morning, but I know that she is like you since the day you saved her. She doesn't want to face me. She doesn't want to face us. I don't want to make my mother sad, but I also don't want to lose you. What should I do? What should I do? Lu Muhan was sobbing, but Yang Ling let out a long sigh. Sure enough, it was exactly as he had guessed. Besides Mr. Lu, the only one who could make someone like Lu Muhan feel at a loss was her mother Xiaofian. Ding! It has been detected that Lu Muhan, a person associated with the system, currently has a strong wish, and she hopes that you can bring Xiaofian back. Ding! The wish mission is officially released. Please ask the host to change Xiaofian's mind within 3 days and persuade her to come back. Mission success reward. All attributes plus 10. All the members of the Lu family have an increased favorability towards you, and you will officially become one of the core members of the Lu family. Xiaofian will become a person associated with the system. Punishment for mission failure. Lu Muhan's intimacy is reduced by 50. His identity as a system-linked character is cancelled, and a skill of the host is randomly deducted. Ask the host to choose whether to accept the task. Yang Ling gasped when he heard this. Whether it was a reward or a punishment, this task was extremely exciting. There was a tendency of 1 step to heaven and 1 step to hell. Holding the trembling girl in his arms, Yang Ling took a deep breath and whispered in her ear, "This is not like you. Cheer up and wait for me to bring her back with me." Lu Muhan was shocked when he heard the words and looked up at Yang Ling. The confidence and tenderness in the young man's eyes seemed to melt her heart. Ding! The host chose to accept this mission. Ding! You made a promise to Lu Muhan. Intimacy plus 10, current intimacy 90. Yang Ling smiled and patted her on the shoulder and said, "It's getting late. Don't you have to go to work tomorrow? Hurry up and go to bed." Lu Muhan is not a little girl in the ordinary sense. She got up when she heard the words, wiped away her tears, and said, "Mom should go to M City. There's an old classmate of hers there. Ling, you know that my father passed away a long time ago, and my mother never remarried because of me and the family. I just hope she can come back. Other things, I don't care." Yang Ling looked at her in surprise when she heard the words, and suddenly smiled slightly. "You are such a good girl. Before I go, don't you have anything else to say to me? Anything else?" Lu Muhan's eyes were dim with tears, and at the same time, he looked at Yang Ling with some puzzlement. But seeing the strange smile on the young man's face, as if he had thought of something, a blush appeared on his little face. After biting her lower lip with a red face and struggling for a while, she whispered, "Husband, walk slowly. Be careful on the road." Puff! Yang Ling couldn't help laughing when he heard this. "Did you let her call you husband?" The intimacy value of 90 points is awesome. Even a noble and glamorous female CEO will shyly call her husband. However, this husband shouted softly, and it was extremely comfortable to listen to, making his heart beat nonstop. Yang Ling got up and laughed, patted Lu Muhan's head, and said, "Okay, take care of yourself. I'm leaving." It was only 3 days. Time was running out. He didn't talk nonsense, turned around, and left the villa directly. Looking at the back of the boy leaving, Lu Muhan suddenly remembered something and said loudly, "Ling, Mom likes to soak in hot springs when she is in a bad mood." Yang Ling at the door waved his hand, and his back disappeared into the darkness. In the middle of the night, while Chu Xin was still broadcasting live, the door of the room was suddenly opened. Man, what a handsome man! Suddenly, there was an uproar on the barrage. Chu Xin reacted and said in surprise, Ling, why are you back? Ling. This was the first time Ling showed his face on the camera, and the barrage popped up like crazy. Oh God, Ling looks so good-looking. Wow, Ling looks so delicate. Oh Mom, I'm in love. If Ling wears women's clothing, I'll give you 10 rockets immediately. The fan of the little girl with the ID, named Ling, who has been watching all the time, without saying a word, directly swiped the rocket, and it cost -rounds in one swiping, and he didn't take money as money at all. Ling, I want to marry you. Chu Xin smiled happily. Ling didn't care about all kinds of barrage, but said to Chu Xin, Sister Xin, can you take me to M-City? Chu Xin asked in surprise. M-City? Now, well, I have something to do, and I have to sleep in the car for a while. Seeing Ling's seriousness, Chu Xin nodded and said, Okay, wait for me to clean up. As she said that, after she apologized to the audience, she immediately began to change clothes and prepare to leave, while Ling patted her sister awake and said, Xiao Xue, I'm going on a long trip, and I've already transferred 1 yuan to you. Take care of yourself, and Xiaoi. Yang Shui waved her hands in a daze and said, Got it, close the door, I'm going to sleep. You stinky girl. Thank you, brother, I love you so much. Ling rolled his eyes, then shook his head with a smile. After a while, Chu Xin excitedly drove the BMW i8, giggled, and said, Running to M-City so late, it must be a date with a beautiful woman? Not to mention, she was guessed by this little girl. Ling smiled slightly and said, That's right, but this beauty is not that beauty. What a mess. Chu Xin pouted and suddenly asked curiously, Then me or that beauty, which one is more beautiful? Ling was taken aback when he heard the words, and after looking at Chu Xin, he said seriously, Almost. If she is 10 years younger, she should be prettier than you. Is it so pretty? Chu Xin snorted to express her dissatisfaction, but she was still curious about what this beautiful woman looked like. Ding, you shattered Chu Xin's wish to be more beautiful. Attribute value +1. Ling said with some amusement, Okay, drive hard. I'll take a nap for a while. Chu Xin giggled and said, I'll see you off all the way in the middle of the night, and when you come back, you'll show your face and double row with me. You don't know, just now that little fangirl brushed rockets for you again. All right. Ling responded and slowly closed his eyes. City M is about 2 hours drive away from City S, but Chu Xin's driving skills are really unsatisfactory. She drove for a full 3 hours to get there. She was blinded by such a good sports car. At this moment, the sky was already getting bright. Ling stretched his waist and woke up. His whole body was full of energy, and the consumption from yesterday had been fully replenished. Chu Xin smiled and said, I sent it here, so I wish you good luck. Speaking of which, your car will belong to me in a few days, Ling smiled and nodded. This car belongs to Xiao Xue. You have to tell her. Go back, slow down on the road. Chu Xin has always been a night owl, so there is no such thing as fatigue driving. She nodded and said suddenly before leaving, Ling, if the beauty doesn't like you, come back and date me, and I will comfort you. Ling smiled and said, Okay, but you are not allowed to ride on me in the future. You are bad. Chu Xin blushed, giggled lightly, turned the car around, and returned the same way. M-City Hot Spring Resort Center. This resort center is built in the mountains, with a pleasant climate and a vast area. It is one of the most famous resorts in the south of the Yangtze River. Of course, the price is also very expensive, and most people can't afford it. At the front desk of the hotel, Ling asked with a smile, Miss Waiter, is there a Ms. Xia Fian staying here? The beautiful waiter said with a smile, I'm sorry, sir. This belongs to the customer's personal privacy, and we have no right to disclose it. Is it? Ling smiled slightly and said, I want to stay. Give me a single room. Okay. The waitress said kindly, Sir, please show your ID card. We will register here. Yang Ling simply handed over her ID card, and the waiter began to enter information into the computer, but she didn't know that a palm-sized mirror was quietly floating in a very hidden corner behind her. 3773 VIP room. Yang Ling got the information he wanted, and a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. After opening the room, he was not in a hurry to check in, but called a car to go to the shopping mall. Since Xia Fian intentionally avoided herself and Lu Muhan, even if they met, she would probably leave here immediately. If she wanted to bring her home smoothly, she would have to spend some thought. After doing some shopping in a mall, he returned to the guest room in the resort center, sat in front of the mirror, sighed, and opened the cosmetic box in front of him. Ding! The makeup proficiency skill is activated. The system's voice sounded, and Yang Ling began to fiddle with it skillfully. A while later, a handsome young man appeared in front of the mirror, but compared with the previous Yang Ling, there was still a slight gap in appearance. Yang Ling originally planned to make himself more ordinary, but the hateful thing is that with a charm of 14 points, no matter how you dress up, it's very irritating. But that's fine, as long as Xia Fian doesn't recognize herself. This hot spring resort center is most famous for its hot springs. Of course, it is not naked like the island country. Although men and women are still soaking together, girls generally wear swimsuits, while men wear a pair of shorts. There are many kinds of baths here, such as medicinal baths, milk baths, rose baths, etc. After Yang Ling hesitated for a moment, he walked towards the hot spring of milk baths. When he came to this small pond, he found that there were many people here, both men and women, and Xia Fian was among them. At this moment, she was leaning against a corner alone, with a faint sadness on her expression. Speaking of which, although this woman is 37 or years old, her skin is fair and smooth, and her figure is maintained very well, even if she is not inferior to young girls. Moreover, she has a beautiful appearance, and she has the temperament of a noble lady, which is obviously different from ordinary people. This temperament can even make ordinary men flinch, which makes them feel ashamed. As expected of a woman who can give birth to a peerless beauty like Lu Muhan, Yang Ling suspected that when she was young, she might not look worse than Lu Muhan. Of course, her temperament couldn't have any effect on Yang Ling. He was relieved to find the person he was looking for, and was about to walk towards Xia Fian when he suddenly found that everyone in the room was looking at him. Strangeness. Is there something wrong with my makeup? He touched his face instinctively, and found that there was nothing strange on his face. Then he looked down, as if he understood what these people were looking at. Yang Ling's skin is really good, a bit too good, almost fairer than a 16 or 17-year-old girl, with a well-proportioned figure and perfect muscle lines. No wonder it immediately attracted everyone's attention. Before he got into the pool, a few girls couldn't wait to say, "Little brother, sit here, sit here." Yang Ling frowned secretly, but still smiled politely at them, and then walked towards Xia Fian. Little brother smiled at me. So handsome. What are you talking about? You are obviously laughing at me. Do you think he has a girlfriend? Why don't you ask? Yang Ling ignored these whispers, sat down not far from Xia Fian, looked at this sad, beautiful young woman, and said with a smile, "Your sadness is about to overflow from your face." These words seemed to pull Xia Fian out of her own world. Her whole body shook slightly, and she looked at the young man beside her. "Little Ling." "Oh no, I'm sorry I admitted the wrong person." Yang Ling smiled slightly and said, "I heard from my mother that when you're in a bad mood, you can talk to someone and maybe you'll see the blue sky through the clouds. If you hold it in your heart like this, it will be more uncomfortable." Xia Fian looked at Yang Ling in surprise and suddenly smiled faintly. "Little devil, are you trying to enlighten me?" Yang Ling smiled and said, "Are you looking down on younger men?" As if thinking of someone's shadow, Xia Fian shook her head slightly, but she looked at Yang Ling with a different emotion. They talked on this side, and the girls on the other side were all disappointed. "What? It turns out that my little brother likes mature big sisters. It's amazing to be so good-looking. I must become more beautiful than her." Ding, you shattered the wishes of the ladies and sisters to strike up a conversation. Attribute points +1. When Yang Ling heard the system prompt, he shook his head amusedly, then looked at Xia Fian and said seriously, "We are all traveling alone. Why don't you be my girlfriend for a few days?" In less than 3 sentences, Yang Ling's flirting skills have improved a lot invisibly. What? Xia Fian was obviously taken aback when she heard the words. After looking at Yang Ling for a moment, she smiled softly and said, "I can be your mother now, and I'm still a girlfriend." "I know." Yang Ling smiled and said, "I might have to call out like that, but you're so young. How could anyone else?" Xia Fian didn't hear his implication and couldn't help but said with a smile, "You are a big kid. You want to be my boyfriend? Let's eat for a few more years." Hearing this, Yang Ling looked at the somewhat gloomy sky and said lightly, "If there's a knot in your heart, I'm afraid you won't even be qualified for 10 years of food, right? The eyes of outsiders will hurt yourself and the people around you. But they're outsiders after all. What do you think?" There is obviously something to be said in these words. Xia Fian's mind was touched, and she felt her nose sore. You look a lot like a friend of mine." "Oh." Yang Ling smiled and said, "What does it look like? Is it the way of speaking or temperament?" Xia Fian chuckled softly. "They're all such stinky farts. Even though they're still a child, they always pretend to know everything." Yang Ling said with a smile, "Little kids' thoughts are simpler, and they're often happier. Do you agree to what I just said?" Xia Fian blushed a little, seemed to hesitate for a moment, then shook her head and smiled lightly. "You are handsome. As long as you want, girls will line up to be your girlfriend. Auntie is too old to be your girlfriend." When she said this, a gloomy look flickered in Xia Fian's eyes. Yang Ling sighed softly in his heart. After the conversation, he was basically sure that it would be impossible to bring this noble concubine back with words alone. But since he was here, chatting with her for a while might ease her depression some. He smiled slightly. How can a woman who is trapped by love and travels alone grow old? People are not old, and their hearts are not old. Xia Fian stared blankly at Yang Ling. The young man in front of him seemed to know all the secrets in his heart. Although every word he said was subtle, it hit the nail on the head. She stared at Yang Ling, and after a while, she suddenly chuckled and said, "You really resemble him." As if thinking of some scenes from the past, Xia Fian smiled and said, "But Auntie likes more powerful men." "A more powerful man?" Yang Ling was taken aback for a moment. Then a voice suddenly rang out. "Well said. Young man, women like stronger men." I saw a middle-aged man standing up not far away. He had been submerged in the water before and couldn't see anything. This time he stood up and shocked everyone. This person's whole body is full of muscles, and they're the kind of big ones. The arms are as thick as the thighs of ordinary people, which is really staggering. He laughed and said, "Young man, you look so fair and clean, suitable for wearing suspenders and skirts. Uncle will buy you a set of women's clothing some other day. It must look good, but if you want to say that women really like it, it's still like me." As he spoke, he walked over a few steps and said politely, "Miss, can I buy you a cup of coffee later?" Concubine Xia Yinxiu frowned slightly. Her muscles were really scary. She instinctively leaned towards Yang Ling. This move seemed very intimate. The muscular man was unhappy seeing this. He snorted softly. "Miss, what's so good about a pretty boy who can't even be hugged by a woman? Choose me. I will definitely let you spend an unforgettable vacation." This was a bit straightforward, and the girls all blushed slightly. "Uncle, you are too shameless." "That's right. Your muscle bumps are too scary, but my little brother's muscle curves are more beautiful." "That's right. If I'm hugged by you, my bones will fall apart." The muscular man said angrily, "You guys know nothing. This is called power. Do you understand the power of a man?" Xia Fian was obviously a little afraid of this muscular man. Of course it wasn't because she was timid. If such a behemoth wanted to treat her coffee, anyone would be terrified. Yang Ling took a few steps forward, protected Xia Fian behind him, looked at the muscular man, and said with a smile, "Uncle, of course a man must have strength, but you've overtrained your strength. The pieces are as big as your head. You won't be a champion bodybuilder, will you?" The muscular man laughed and said, "I have eyesight. I am really a bodybuilding champion." Let's do this, young man. Men will fight in a man's way. Uncle, I don't bully you either. I stand still and let you push me 3 times. If you can make me move even a little bit, you win. I admit that you are qualified to pursue this beautiful lady. But if I don't move, you have to get out of your way and let me sit next to the lady. How about it? As soon as this remark came out, the men watching the theater in the pool applauded one after another, while the girls all stood by Yang Ling's side, saying coquettishly that the muscular man bullied the younger. So shameless. Xia Fian didn't expect things to develop to this point, and she wanted to leave, but she found that the way to leave the pool had been blocked by people who eat melons. Yang Ling looked at the big fool in front of him, and knew that he couldn't leave unless he was convinced. He nodded and said, "That's fine. I'll come and see if your muscles are real or not." Ding! You have fulfilled the muscular man's desire to show off in a competition. Wish value +1, current progress, 5 out of 10. Ding! You shattered the wishes of the ladies and sisters that you would not be bullied. Attribute point +1. Yang Ling smiled slightly, stood up and said, "Stand still." The muscular man laughed and said, "What do you want to stand firm for? With small arms and legs like yours, I can't do it even if I try my best." Before he could say anything, Yang Ling stretched his leg and tripped. He only felt a strong force coming from his feet, and he fell backwards involuntarily. The huge body of the muscular man fell into the water, splashing a large amount of water. Under everyone's stunned gaze, Yang Ling grabbed his ankle with his hand and lifted it vigorously, only to see the muscular man being lifted upside down. Hiss! There was a sound of gasping in the arena. A burly man of 5 years and 3 years was unexpectedly held upside down by a young man with one hand without any resistance. This scene was really shocking. Is that human being? How much strength does he need to do such a thing? Yang Ling was no longer surprised by this kind of gaze. He smiled slightly and said, "How about it? Are you convinced?" The strength of the muscular man is really unrecognizable. He lifted his upper body out of the water with the strength of his waist and abdomen. After spitting out a few mouthfuls of milk bath soup, he shouted loudly, "You are cheating. I don't accept it. I don't agree with this. Do you also grow muscles in your brain?" Yang Ling chuckled, and once again exerted force with his arm. He directly threw this person towards the sky. The muscular man was thrown 2 or 3 meters high, and then fell down screaming. Ah! Seeing that he was about to fall into the water, amidst his terrified screams, he stopped suddenly. It turned out that Yang Ling grabbed his calf again and asked with a light smile, "Are you convinced?" "I'm convinced. Don't throw me. I'm really convinced." Yang Ling smiled slightly when he heard the words, turned him over, and let him step on the bottom of the water safely. The scene was silent, and a thought appeared in everyone's mind. This kid is born with supernatural power. After the ladies and sisters reacted, they all smiled. Little brother is amazing. Wow, it's super safe. Concubine Xia stared blankly at Yang Ling's back, as if she saw the shadow of another person from this young man. Ding! You smashed the muscular man's desire to approach Xia Fian. Attribute points +1. Ding! You have fulfilled the girl's wish for you to win, and the wish value is +1. The strong man took a few deep breaths and suddenly said seriously, "Little master, may I ask what kind of boxing method you used when you turned me over just now?" Yang Ling asked in surprise, "What do you want to say?" "There is a play." Hearing this, the brawny man became energetic, and he said respectfully, "My name is Su Dazhuang, and I am the curator of Dazhuang Gym. May I ask, little master, do you accept apprentices?" "What?" Everyone's eyes widened, and then they reacted suddenly. Big Strong Gym. This is the largest fitness club chain in Jiangnan, with at least dash branches. Unexpectedly, this muscle club is actually the legendary fierce man Su Dazhuang. Thinking of this, they looked at Yang Ling at the same time, with incredible expressions in their eyes. This fair and beautiful little boy actually cleaned up Su Dazhuang in a few strokes. Could he be some kind of martial arts genius born in the world? Yang Ling had also heard of the Dazhuang Gym. He looked at the strong man in front of him in surprise, hesitated for a moment, and said, "Leave me a phone number. and I will call you when I have time. Su Dezhuang was overjoyed when he heard the words. Maybe others didn't understand Yang Ling's strength, but he knew very well that even a national Sanda champion couldn't knock him down with one move. He was lucky enough to meet a few masters. They were people of another level. No matter how rich he was, in the eyes of people of that level, he was not even a fart. And the strength of the young man in front of him and the sense of oppression it gave him are definitely not much different from those masters. This young man must have obtained the true biography of a certain master. He is an incomparable expert. Thinking of this, he became more and more respectful. Then, little master, your room number is my great fortune to meet someone like you. I will cover all your travel expenses in City M this time. Everyone's eyes widened. Su Dezhuang's attitude changed too quickly, right? He is a big boss, and he stands respectfully like a waiter, taking yours one bite at a time. Don't you want to be so exaggerated? Hearing this, Yang Ling frowned slightly and said, No need. I said I'll find you if I need something. Ding, you have shattered Su Dezhuang's desire to get close now. Attribute point +1. Su Dezhuang said with a sneer when he heard the words. Okay, then I'll go first, little master. You must contact me. Everyone's eyes were about to pop out. The boy obviously didn't appreciate it, but Boss Su was even more respectful. What kind of existence is this handsome boy in front of him? The so-called multiple friends and multiple paths. It's okay if you usually go to this person to have a meal and chat, but now it's still a matter of business. Seeing this man's burly figure slowly leave, he immediately turned his head to look at Xia Fian, but he was slightly taken aback by this look. I saw this woman's face was red, her eyes were blurred, and her delicate body was leaning softly on the blue stone by the pool. You? Before Yang Ling could speak, Xia Fian softened. Ugh! He was taken aback and hurried over to support the woman, only to find that the woman was limp and had no strength at all. Yang Ling is proficient in Chinese medicine, so he checked his pulse calmly, but his brows were wrinkled. Xia Fian has soaked in the hot spring for too long, and her blood is rising up to fill her forehead. If something goes wrong, she may be in danger. In desperation, Yang Ling couldn't care less and patted several of her acupuncture points continuously. After Xia Fian and her arms snorted softly, her breathing calmed down. Seeing this, Yang Ling breathed a sigh of relief. And everyone's eyes are about to pop out. This little brother can heal illnesses. Regardless of the gazes of these people, Yang Ling directly hugged Xia Fian in a princess's arms. Under everyone's amazed eyes, his figure slowly disappeared on the path. But when he passed by Flower Garden, he suddenly sensed something, looked over, and saw two men looking at him. Seeing Yang Ling looking over, the two hurriedly pretended to be chatting and walked away. A trace of doubt appeared in Yang Ling's eyes. Soon, a waitress rushed over to help. Yang Ling sent the girl back to the room and left on her own. A while later, in the elevator, Yang Ling was thinking about something when a middle-aged man beside him suddenly said, Young man, everyone likes beautiful women, but some women are not something you can touch. If you meddle in their own business, you might get burned. Okay. Yang Ling turned his head when he heard the words. The speaker was dressed casually, but he had a good skin. He looked handsome. He looked like he was in his 30s, showing the charm of a mature man everywhere. He said indifferently, Why, you seem to have something in your words. The handsome man smiled slightly and said, If you speak too clearly, you will look stupid instead. Looking at you, you should be a smart person. Don't I need to say more? Suffice it to say, do it yourself. With that said, he gave Yang Ling a faint look and walked out of the elevator calmly. Just a few steps away, suddenly a huge force came from behind, pulling him back to the elevator and hitting the wall with a bang. I saw Yang Ling said lightly, Say it clearly if you have something to say. Why are you pretending to be aggressive in front of me? You. The handsome man felt sore all over his body after being hit by this. He said angrily, You dare to do it? Yang Ling said lightly, If I want to attack you, you are already dead. Speak. Let's make it clear before we go. The handsome man never expected that the young man in front of him would be so domineering. He snorted coldly. Since you asked, I'll tell you. The woman you hugged just now is one of the real high-level members of the Muhua group, a member of the Lu family. If you don't want to play with fire, don't approach her anymore. Oh, you know it very clearly, Yang Ling said indifferently. Then who are you? The handsome man sneered. I'm her classmate, her best friend, and the boss of 2 companies. A person like you who has a good posture with a little brute force is not at the same level as us. Yang Ling said lightly. I am indeed not on the same level as you. I'm used to being loose. I can do whatever I want, and I can get close to whomever I want. You better keep your mouth shut. In addition, I remind you, don't mess with me, because you can't afford to mess with me. When he said this, there was an icy aura pervading from his body. Looking at him with Yang Ling's gaze, the handsome man seemed to be in an ice cellar. His whole body trembled involuntarily, unable to speak a word. Seeing this, Yang Ling laughed and said, Just now I was so pretentious that it looked like that. I thought he was some kind of extraordinary person. It turns out that's all. After leaving his sentence, the elevator just stopped, so he didn't bother to look at the man's expression, so he walked out. Ding, you shattered Xiaofian's desire to act aggressively in front of you. Attribute point +1. In the elevator, the handsome man's face was extremely ugly. He looked at Yang Ling's back with resentment, gritted his teeth, took out his mobile phone, and dialed a number. After a while, Yang Ling returned to his room. After sorting out his thoughts, he found that this time things were getting more and more complicated. Xiaofian's physique is not bad. Even after soaking in the hot spring for a long time, it is impossible for her to become dizzy like this, and even her blood is a little fluctuating. Did he get drugged? He frowned slightly and became vigilant in his heart. After thinking for a while, he suddenly thought of a detail, and then he seemed to have some clues. But he is not sure, so he can only take a step to see. He had a feeling that someone was waiting for this noble lady to come out. Thinking of the group of young men in black on the small road before, it seemed that a big hand was grabbing towards Lu's house invisibly. There's a saying that soldiers come to cover water and earth. Yang Ling smiled faintly, and after strengthening the 3 newly acquired attribute points, he left the room. I haven't eaten anything since last night, so I'm looking for something to eat. As night fell, concubine Xiaoyan Yu in the VIP room woke up. Thinking about what had happened before, her face turned red. She was a little dizzy before, in a state of confusion, but she didn't completely lose consciousness. She vaguely remembered that the little boy picked her up and sent her back to the room. It has been more than 10 years since her husband passed away, and this is the first time someone of the opposite sex hugs her. If it's him, oh, I was thinking about something messed up. Thinking of the little man who calmly played the beautiful music at the critical moment of life and saved her, she felt shy and bitter in her heart, and there was still a little bit of sweetness in her heart. Sighing and shaking her head, she got up and began to change clothes. When the lights came on, Xiaofian drove a red Mercedes-Benz CL sports car and stopped at the entrance of a small restaurant. This car is worth 300 million, and the beauty of the car immediately attracted countless eyes. At the entrance of the restaurant, a handsome middle-aged man smiled slightly and said, Xiaoyan, thank you for remembering this place. Everyone is here just waiting for you. The handsome man's name was Shenji, and he was Xiaofian's best friend, as Lu Muhan said earlier, and he was also the man who was almost scared to pee by Yang Ling in the elevator just now. Today's class reunion was also organized by him. Although this restaurant is not big, it was the place where they often had dinner together when they were in school. He purposely made the classmate reunion here. After coming here, Xiaofian seemed to be in a better mood and said with a slight smile, You have a heart. Let's go. At a corner in the distance, watching the two of them walk into the restaurant, Yang Ling was worried that the dark hand was playing some tricks and wanted to follow in, but if he just went in like this, he might be suspected of being followed. After a moment of hesitation, he dialed a phone number. In a luxurious room of the Hot Spring Hotel, Su Dazhuang looked at the sexy girl walking towards him with a smile and said with a smile, Come on, baby, let my brother hug you. Oh, Boss Su, you're so strong, will you hug me? You have to take it easy. Su Dazhuang was elated, and he took the girl into his arms, and when he was about to kiss Fangza, the phone rang suddenly. He picked up the phone and said impatiently, "Who is it? What's the matter?" "It's me." A calm teenager's voice came from the other end of the phone. "It's little master." Su Dezhuang's whole body trembled, and amidst the sexy girl's coquettish voice, he directly pushed her away and then said respectfully, "Little master, I am Su Dezhuang. Hey, it's an honor for you to think of calling me. Are you free now? I'd like to treat you to dinner." Yang Ling laughed and said, "I seem to have heard some strange sound just now. Is it really convenient for you?" Su Dezhuang laughed and said, "It's convenient. I invite you to eat. Any time is convenient for me." "All right," Yang Ling said. "Then you come to Le Jia Hotel now. I'm right here." "Le Jia Hotel? What the hell kind of place is that?" Su Dezhuang patted his chest and said, "How can you go to such a place with such a mission? I'll send someone to pick you up right away, and we'll go to the International Hotel for dinner." "No need." Yang Ling smiled faintly. "That's it. I'll wait for you." Su Dezhuang was taken aback for a moment, then cheered excitedly, pulled up his pants, and was about to leave. The sexy girl said in surprise, "Boss Su, then you... What are you? Stay there, I'm going to do something big." Under the surprised gaze of the sexy girl, Su Dezhuang began to make phone calls. Yang Ling didn't have to wait long. 2 Mercedes-Benz drove up to the restaurant, and 4 strong men got out of the car. Su Dezhuang saw Yang Ling at a glance, and hurriedly brought the other 3 people over to accompany him with a smile, and said, "Master, I kept you waiting for a long time. After my 3 brothers heard about you, they would come to see you no matter what they said. You don't mind?" The 3 people behind him were all muscular like Su Dezhuang. One of them was nearly 2 meters tall and as strong as a cow. The 3 of them looked at Yang Ling with admiration. They admired Su Dezhuang from the bottom of their hearts for being able to throw Su Dezhuang around as if he was playing with him, and to make this well-known arrogant boss bow his head and obey his ears. After Yang Ling glanced at the 3 of them, he said with displeasure, "It's all here. Let's go together. Park the car and follow me." The 4 of them thumped in their hearts, and the little master seemed to be angry. It would be too miserable if he threw them around in a while. It's just that it's lunchtime now, and although there are exactly 2 parking spaces at the door, they're all strong men, and the cars are all custom-made, very big. If you want to park in a parking space, I'm afraid it will take a lot of effort to move around. Su Dezhuang said cautiously, "Little master, the car is not easy to park. At worst, you will get a few fines. Shall I go in and order first?" Yang Ling frowned and said, "Aren't you making trouble for the traffic police?" As he said that, he walked to the side of a Mercedes-Benz and kicked it up. Ding! The powerful technique is activated, and the current strength is 70 points. With a muffled sound, the huge Mercedes-Benz lifted off the ground, moved sideways, and stopped firmly in the parking space with a bang. Before a few people could react, he kicked again, and another Mercedes-Benz was forcibly kicked into the parking space in the same way. Hardcore parking, jaw-dropping. The eyes of the 4 muscle sticks and the melon eaters passing by were about to pop out, and one of the muscle sticks was so frightened that his jaw dislocated. Is this still a person? Are you sure it's not some dinosaur in disguise? How much strength does this Nima have to do such a thing? Mom, that brother has so much strength. Is he making a movie? It should be filming. Is the technology so advanced now? You can't even see Jiao Weiya. Passers-by thought it was a movie, but the 4 muscular guys knew exactly what was going on, and their whole bodies trembled a little. Ding, you have fulfilled the wish of the muscle sticks to park the car. Wish value +1. Current progress, 7/10. Seeing that these people were still in a daze, and one of them had a dislocated jaw, Yang Ling couldn't help rolling his eyes. After putting the man's dislocated jaw back casually, he said displeasedly, "What are you doing still standing there? Let's go." The 4 of them were quick-witted, and their admiration for the little master in their hearts continued like a torrent of water. Seeing that Yang Ling had already left, they hurriedly followed. Ding, you have fulfilled Su Dezhuang's wish to treat you to dinner. The wish value is +1. Ding, you have fulfilled Muscle Stick's wish to restore the jaw. The wish value is +1, and the current progress is 9 out of 10. A group of people walked into this small restaurant, and everyone was stunned. A young man takes the lead, followed by four strong men like four quails. This scene is both shocking and funny. The people at Xiaofian's table also looked at Yang Ling and the others in surprise, and Yang Ling also looked over. "It's you." Xiaofian's face was slightly red, but there was a complex look in her eyes. Yang Ling smiled faintly. "What a coincidence, we meet again." What a coincidence." Xiaofian stood up, blushing, and said, "Thank you before." "Hands up." After Yang Ling responded casually, he looked away, walked to a table next to theirs, and sat down. There were originally two young ladies sitting at this table. Seeing Yang Ling's handsome little brother sitting over, there was a smile on his face at first, but four behemoths followed closely. Su Dazhuang said very politely, "Two beauties, can I ask you to change tables?" There was a ghost in this stiff smile, and the two young ladies were about to cry, and they left on the spot without saying a word. Yang Ling frowned and said angrily, "Boss Su, didn't you look in the mirror when you laughed?" "That's right. Brother Su, why are you so ignorant? Don't you know that the little master likes young ladies?" The 2-meter-tall giant muscular stick smiled all over his face and said, "Don't worry, little master. I'll invite him back right away." "Are you going to scare people to death? Sit down." "Yes, yes, yes." The giant muscular stick laughed dryly and sat down hastily. Yang Ling's forehead was full of black lines. Seeing that everyone in the store was holding back their laughter, he regretted how he thought of calling Su Dazhuang out for dinner. "Ding, you smashed the wish of the giant muscle stick to help you pick up girls. Attribute points +1. At this time, the boss came over and said with a sneer, "5. What do you want to eat?" Su Dazhuang looked at Yang Ling and said, "Little master, what do you want to eat?" Yang Ling smiled faintly. "Anything you want." "Random." Su Dazhuang felt that it was time to test himself. After hesitating for a long time, he slapped his forehead and said, "Boss, serve all your best dishes. In addition, get me 2 bottles of Matai." As soon as this remark came out, everyone in the restaurant was taken aback. Rich people are different. They just go for delicacies from mountains and seas, and they never ask the price. Yang Ling didn't care. He came here just to prevent Xiaofian from having an accident, and he didn't care much about what he ate. At the other table, a stylishly dressed man next to Xiaofian whispered contemptuously, "That little brother is handsome, and none of the other 4 looks like a human being. By the way, Fian, you have been alone all these years, and your conditions are so good. Have you considered finding another man?" Upon hearing this topic, everyone at the table pricked up their ears. Xiaofian's face was slightly gloomy. She just sighed and shook her head. Everyone was slightly taken aback when they saw this, and the fashionable young woman said in surprise, "No, you are surrounded by social elites, gentlemen, and celebrities. Isn't there anyone who can catch your eye?" Xiaofian instinctively wanted to say something, but she still smiled wryly when she got to her mouth. "Xiaofan, you are joking. I am already very old. Who else can have a crush on me?" Giggle. Xiaofan chuckled and said, "You need to open your mouth. People who want to be your boyfriend may be able to line up to your group headquarters from here. By the way, there are still a few singles among the old classmates at this table. Do you want to think about it?" God assists. The eyes of the 3 single men at this table lit up immediately, but when they saw Shinji with a calm expression, they couldn't help feeling a little disheartened. One of them smiled wryly and said, "Everyone knows that Shinji has liked Fian since high school, so he must be the one to choose. We don't have a chance." Shinji smiled lightly, looked at Xiaofian, and said, "Xiaoyan, do you feel that you are not happy today? Is there something on your mind?" Concubine Xia instinctively looked at the young man, not far away, as if she wanted to find someone's shadow in her. "It's really like, why wasn't he the one who came to see me?" There was a faint wry smile on the corner of her mouth. Then she pulled herself together and said with a light smile, "Do you think there's anything else that can make me trouble?" The confidence in these words made everyone laugh after being taken aback for a moment. Xiaofan smiled and said, "That's right, this is our goddess. By the way, where is Xiaohan? She is also a big girl, so there must be many outstanding boys around her, right?" Xiaofian smiled slightly. "She has an awkward temper, I was always worried about this before. But now, she has a sweetheart. Oh, everyone was shocked when they heard the words. The chairman of Muhua Group has a sweetheart. This is big news. And Shenji frowned slightly, with a chill on his face. Xiao Xiofan chuckled and said, "Oh, the boy Muhan likes must be very good. Tell me, what kind of person is he?" Xiaofian thought of a certain person, and a faint smile appeared on her face. She only heard her say with a smile, "That child is handsome, and always looks like a stinky fart, as if he himself is number one in the world." Thinking of this, she giggled lightly, and then her tone turned gentle. "However, he is confident and smart, can play all kinds of musical instruments perfectly, and has great kung fu, and can always do something unexpected." Hearing this, Qiu Xiofan asked curiously, "For what you say, he is almost a perfect person? Is it perfect?" Xiaofian seemed to have thought of something funny. She chuckled softly, "But this kid is naughty," during the college entrance examination giggle. Sometimes it's still worrying. Everyone looked at her strangely. Although the goddess took one child at a time, the sweet smile on her face didn't seem like she was introducing her son-in-law, but rather like introducing her boyfriend. Qiu Xiofan laughed and said, "How much do you like this son-in-law? But, seeing is believing, I don't believe there's such a perfect person." For a while, everyone was talking about going to S-City to meet this little man, and the atmosphere became lively again. Although Shanji had a smile on his face, there was a gleam of cold air in his eyes. He winked at the man beside him, got up and laughed, "Go to the toilet." On the other table, Su Dazhuang sneered and said, "Can you be proficient in various musical instruments and have a kung fu? The cowhide is going to be blown to the sky. How can there be so many people who are all round in civil and military affairs? Don't you think so, little master?" Ling laughed and said, "Maybe there will be." He dealt with it casually, but his eyes were on Shunji and the two who were going to the toilet. In a men's room, the man who followed Shinji frowned and said, "Boss, do you think her daughter has a boyfriend? If we do get married, our plan is not." Shunji snorted coldly. "The opportunity is rare. We must take her down here. Follow the plan." The man frowned and said, "Are you really going to call Leopard and the others over? Although he has suffered in M-City and is now sitting in a wheelchair, his subordinates are all vicious people. We can't control them." Shunji fell silent after hearing the words, hesitated for a moment, and said, "Have you finished everything you asked to download?" The man laughed and said, "Don't worry about what I do. It's the same as last time, 3. If the plan can come true tonight, Xiaofian will definitely be in your pocket." "Humph," Shun Jihing said, "at the hot spring center during the day, if that kid hadn't meddled in his own business, Xiaoyan would already be in my arms now. Call Leopard in a while. Once things succeed, your benefits will be indispensable." The man laughed and said, "Then thank you, boss. But boss, that kid at the other table and Su Dazhuang are a bit tricky. We have to find a way to get them away first." Shinji sneered and said, "It's okay. Su Dazhuang is a smart man. He won't offend these desperados. As for that kid, how could a 17 or 18-year-old youth turn the world upside down?" Hearing the words, the man suddenly said, "If this is the case, then you will definitely get your wish tonight. At that time, the raw rice will be cooked and cooked. After you enter the Muhua group, Shinji also laughed. Little did they know, in a hidden corner on the top of the toilet, an Ikrazi X was slowly floating there, and the conversation between the two was recorded verbatim. It didn't take long for Shanji and the two to come out, and Ling took the flying mobile phone under the table, lowered the volume, put it to his ears, and listened for a while, and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. Su Dazhuang asked curiously, "Master, are you listening to music? There's a concert of King Guo recently. How about I book a few tickets?" Ling shook his head with a smile and said, "Thank you very much. However, I reckon there will be a good show in a while, and it may not be worse than the concert. Look." The four muscular sticks looked at each other, showing half-understanding expressions. As if to confirm Ling's words, after a while, 4 black cars suddenly drove up from the entrance of the hotel, and a dozen or so rogues jumped out of the cars and broke into the restaurant in a grand manner. one of the leading non-mainstream hairstyles, Tu Liuzi yelled, "Boss, serve the brothers." Each of these bums carried a long object wrapped in newspaper, which should be used for fighting and beating people. The customers in the store were all out of their wits when they saw this, and they didn't even dare to pay their bills and ran out in a hurry. Except for Xia Fian's table and Yang Ling's table. None of the others left. The boss secretly called out. He didn't dare to neglect it all, and said with a smile, "I don't know what you guys want to eat." "What to eat?" Non-mainstream Tu Liuzi shouted. "Is this him? Do you still have to ask me? Good wine and good food are enough. Also, let me tell you, some brothers will come over in a while, and we will take care of this shop today. Let them all go." The boss was frightened out of his wits and walked to Xia Fian's table bravely and said with a wry smile, "You guys, you've seen it too. I'm really sorry today. Even if this meal is invited by a small shop, you should go quickly." Xia Fian frowned, sighed softly, took out a few $1 million bills from her purse and put them on the table, then looked at Shunji and said, "Forget it, let's go." Shunji smiled confidently at her, stood up, and said to the non-mainstream two ruffians, "Brother, I don't know which big brother you are following. Brother Qinglong from Nandun and I are friends. It's a rare class reunion today. Can you save me some face and go to the restaurant next door?" "Give you face." Non-mainstream Tu Liuzi slammed the guy on the table and shouted, "You know Qinglong just because you said you knew him? So what if you know him? Qinglong is a fart." At this time, another wanderer beside him pointed at Xia Fian and said, "Hey, did you see that this woman is beautiful and has a famous brand all over her body? This outfit will cost 50 at least. The 300 million Mercedes-Benz at the door is not hers, is it?" These words caught the attention of all the little drifters. Only the non-mainstream drifter laughed and said, "Rich woman. That boy, it's not bad for me to give you face, but our brothers are a little tight recently. You just need to ask that beautiful lady to support you with 1,080 yuan, and I will leave on the spot without saying a word." Blackmail. Blaring extortion. The faces of the people at the table turned pale. Concubine Xia Yinxiu frowned, but Shunji said with a faint smile, "Brother, you were joking. How about it? You leave me a phone number, and I will call Brother Qinglong at the International Hotel later. Let's set up a few tables, and everyone will have a good time. Give me this face today, and let us have this meal. How about it?" Hearing this, the non-mainstream two wanderer laughed and said, "You know the rules. How about this? If you really know Brother Qinglong, call him now and tell him that Alu has something to do with him. But if you can't make this call, then he is calling me. Don't even think about walking out of here today." As soon as the words came out, everyone looked at Shunji. Qiu Xiufan said nervously, "Shunji, you are not bragging, are you? This is no joke." Xia Fian was also watching him, with a look of expectation in her eyes. Sensing the gaze of the goddess, Shunji became energetic. He smiled lightly and said, "Just sit at ease, and I will take care of it." The confidence in these words made the students at this table heave a sigh of relief. Sure enough, Shunji made a phone call to Brother Qinglong, and the non-mainstream two ruffians seemed to know Qinglong very well. "Guang, not bad. Originally, you don't want to get out of here today if you don't have 100 million, but I will give Qinglong this face and not embarrass you. However, it's impossible for me to change places to book the restaurant. You guys go change places to eat." As soon as these words came out, everyone at this table breathed a sigh of relief. Although they had to change places, there would be no danger. Xia Fian looked at Shunji with a hint of approval, and Qiu Xiufan even giggled and said, "I can't see that you have some skills, old classmate. Tell me, what other important people have you met? Let us also gain knowledge." Shunji had a confident smile on his face. He laughed and was about to say something, but he saw that non-mainstream ruffian walking towards Yang Ling's table. He said in a cold voice, "You guys are really calm when you sit down. Are you looking down on us, or what? That kid just knew Brother Qinglong. You don't know him too, do you?" The faces of the four muscular sticks darkened. Su Dezhuang stood up fiercely and shouted, "Damn, you dare to talk to the little master with this attitude? It's scary to think of it with a knife. I'll kill you, believe it or not. Well, I met a more ruthless one. But Yang Ling got up and patted him on the shoulder, signaling him to be calm, and then said with a faint smile, "I hate social scum the most. But I have to say that your oboe performance is pretty good, but that's it." As he spoke, he calmly took out his phone, turned the volume to the maximum, and started playing a recording. "Boss, I didn't expect your daughter to have a boyfriend. If we do get married, our plan is not. The opportunity is rare. We must take her down here." As the recording played, everyone looked at Shunji and the man beside him in disbelief. Qiu Xiufen widened her eyes and said in a trembling voice, Shunji. You? She didn't even know what to say. Xia Fian covered her mouth, and her face was also full of disbelief. This old classmate, this man who was not bad in her eyes, was plotting against her behind her back and drugging her. Shunji's face turned into the color of a pig's liver, and he roared, "You are lying. This is a synthetic voice. Why do you plan on me like this? What good is it for you to deal with me?" As soon as this remark came out, everyone's eyes were focused on Yang Ling again. People are selfish. After all, Shunji is an old classmate of more than 10 years, while Yang Ling is just a boy who has never met. Seeing this, Yang Ling smiled and said, "Synthetic voice? You don't even use your brain when you speak. Time is so short. Why don't you synthesize one and show me? Could it be that I have a prophet? I knew in advance that you were going to have a class reunion, and that the two of you were going to the bathroom together." These words can be said to have completely shattered all excuses. No one present here is an idiot. Even the top international experts could not synthesize the sound in such a short period of time. They all looked at Shunji with horror in their eyes. "Ding, you smashed Shunji's scheme. Attribute point +1. Shunji's face was extremely ugly. He hurriedly turned his head and said to Xia Fian, "Xiaoyan, you trust me? I really." "You shut up." Xia Fian yelled softly. "Shunji, I know your business has failed. If you ask, I will lend you money. But I didn't expect you to come up with such a dirty trick. The friendship between you and my classmate ends here. Xiufen, let's go." After saying that, Qiu Xiufen, who was still in a daze for a while, walked out. At this moment, Shunji suddenly laughed and said, "Let's go. I'm here, and I want to go. Stop them for me." The few rogues in the arena were the actors Shunji had invited. Hearing this, they immediately rushed over and blocked the door on the spot. Xia Fian's face turned pale, only to hear Shun Jizhuang laugh wildly. Xia Fian, do you think you are still a schoolbell at the age of 17 or 18? Is he a yellow-faced woman? The effort I spent on you, 10 years younger than you can sleep 10. Let me tell you, I owe a lot of money outside. Anyway, it will be over sooner or later. I'm going to order you today. Brothers, if you please put these two women into the car. The others will be beaten or killed as they please." The non-mainstream Tu Lu Zi sneered and said, "Okay, but this woman is so pretty, you have to make the brothers happy after you're done." Shinji laughed loudly and said, "Okay, let's ride the same boat. Let's have fun together tonight. Go." As soon as he finished speaking, an indifferent voice sounded. Where did all this nonsense come from? Shinji only felt a black shadow sweeping over in front of his eyes, and the next moment a huge force hit him, and he flew backwards involuntarily. Snapped! With a crisp sound, Yang Ling slapped him directly on the ground. His teeth fell off, and half of his face was swollen. Yang Ling looked at him condescendingly, as if looking at a piece of garbage. "Seeing you smiling so happily, I'll let you have fun first." After saying that, he stepped on it, directly breaking the person's leg bone. After a burst of heart-piercing screams, Shunji tilted his neck and passed out from the pain. This thunder shot made the scene quiet for a while, but after all, this group of vagabonds are licking blood on the edge of their swords to make a living. The non-mainstream vultures shouted, "The idea is tricky. Copy the guy." More than a dozen errants showed their machetes at the same time, and several women in the field screamed and backed away. Sudezhuang and the others burst out. Those who grabbed the table, and those who grabbed the chair picked up the chair, and they all stood behind Yang Ling. Yang Ling glanced at them in surprise. Unexpectedly, the few people he just met were quite loyal. but they're just ordinary people with a little more muscle, and being stabbed is no joke. He waved his hand and said, "Stand back. I'll take care of it here." After saying that, he didn't look at the expressions of these people, but calmly walked towards early Uzi in front of him. An icy, murderous aura permeated from him, and the errants froze suddenly and retreated involuntarily. One of them wanted to grab Xiaofian and Xiu Xiufan, who were not far away, but as soon as he moved, a chair smashed over, knocking it to the ground and spurting out a few mouthfuls of blood at the same time. Yang Ling's strength was too great, and these ordinary people couldn't bear it at all. If he hadn't saved a little strength, he might have smashed people to death with just one blow. He clapped his hands and said calmly, "Do it. Do it with me. Are you worthy?" The Liuzi looked at each other, and under the tremendous pressure, someone shouted loudly, "Brothers, what are you afraid of when you come out to mess around? Fight with him." After saying that, he was the first to rush out, his machete aimed straight at Yang Ling's heart, and there were screams in the arena. But at this moment, Yang Ling kicked up directly, only to hear the sound of cracking. The man's hand was directly broken by the kick. Driven by the huge force, his whole body flew up and hit the wall with a bang on. Life and death do not know. The scene was suffocated, but Yang Ling had already made a move. Ding, Tai Jiquan is proficient. Ding, Lingbo's Weibo skill is activated. Ding, range perception skills activated. Ding, deduce proficient skill activation. With 2 combat skills and 2 auxiliary skills activated at the same time, he didn't need any fancy operations at all. He simply dodged the incoming knife and punched. No one could bear his fists. 1 punch at a time, either a hand or a foot will be broken. In just 7 or 8 breaths, the battle is over. None of the errants who were so arrogant with their knives were standing at the moment, and they all lay on the ground and howled. At this moment, everyone was stunned. More than a dozen people were all eliminated in 7 or 8 seconds, almost knocking down 2 people in a second. What kind of existence is this young man? Xiaofian looked at the back of the young man in front of her in disbelief. Her eyes revealed a hint of excitement. Is it him? Is he here? The 4 muscular sticks looked at each other. Su Dazhuang's eyes were bright and generous, and he was almost certain that Yang Ling was a person of that level in the legend. Otherwise, it is impossible to explain the phenomenon in front of you. If there were not so many people now, he would kneel down in admiration. Ding, you smashed the wish of the 2 drifters to kill you. Attribute point +1. Ding, you fulfilled the wish of Xiaofian and others not to be chopped off. Wish value +1. Current progress, 10/10. Yang Ling moved his wrist and said to the 4 muscle sticks behind him, "Put away their things." Okay. The 4 of them were almost scrambling to perform in front of Yang Ling. But at this moment, there was a sudden roar of a car at the door. Immediately afterwards, several commercial vehicles stopped, and a man wearing sunglasses and a plaster cast on his feet was sitting in a wheelchair, surrounded by a group of prostitutes, got out of the car and pushed him in. There were about 14 or 5 people who came, and seeing their bulging waists, they were most likely hiding something. Su Dazhuang was startled and hurriedly said, "It's Ah Bao. Everyone here is his." The newcomers were also stunned by the scene in front of them after they entered the restaurant. At this time, Shunji, who had been in a coma all along, suddenly woke up and shouted, kill him for me." Brother Bao glanced at Shunjiho, who had a tragic face, then looked at Yang Ling and said with a gloomy expression, "You did all of this?" Yang Ling said calmly, "What? You don't want your other leg either." Brother Bao was startled when he heard the words, but at this moment one of his subordinates had already shouted, "Since you did it, then you should die." Ding, range perception skills activated. This person was about to take out his weapon from his pocket, when suddenly a cold light flashed in front of his eyes, a thumb flew out directly, and as blood gushed out, the boy clutched his right hand and howled in pain. What's the situation? Everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them. Brother Leopard saw Yang Ling playing with a coin in his hand with a half smile, and the faint murderous aura emanating from him was almost the same as that boy that day. Hard coins. It can't be such a coincidence. Your old family came to M City with all the makeup on. This is trying to kill me. He is a smart person, and after being taught a lesson by Yang Ling that day, he has already understood a truth deeply. The two sides are not at the same level. For an existence like Yang Ling, crushing him to death is no different from crushing an ant. At this moment, he has already confirmed that the person in front of him is that boy. Nothing else, because there will not be two such terrifying boys in the world. After taking a deep breath, he suddenly said, "Brother, what a coincidence, what kind of wind is blowing you?" As soon as this remark came out, the atmosphere suddenly became weird. Xiaofian and the others were dumbfounded. Shunji was dumbfounded. Muscle Stick was dumbfounded, and everyone present was dumbfounded. Elder brother, the most famous person in M City, Abayo, who made people talk about it, called this young man brother. Is it brother who drives a taxi? Is there anything wrong with my ears? Is this boy some kind of earth-shattering big shot? Yang Ling said calmly, "Brother, I'm not your brother. There's so many of you, so many trolls. How dare I be your brother?" Brother Leopard's face turned bitter when he heard the words, and he said in a deep voice, "Put away all the trolls and hand them over to this brother." "What? Hand it up, hand it over." All the second-timers were stunned. For people like them who are licking blood, they're very clear about what cross-spraying means, and it only happens when there is no way to resist. This is surrender. A younger brother tremblingly said, "Brother, are you thinking about it?" Brother Bao heard the words and growled, "Are you deaf? I asked you to hand over the troll to the little brother immediately. Do you hear me?" "What? Yes, yes, yes." What happened next was simply unimaginable. I saw the ferocious errants find a plastic bag and put the spray guns around their waists in it, just like a child who got into trouble and handed in his toys. This is simply incredible. Yang Ling took the plastic bag nonchalantly, handed it to Su Dazhuang, and said, "That's it. I'll hand it over to the law enforcement officers in a while." Su Dazhuang was a little frightened, holding these weapons carefully, looking at Yang Ling as if he was looking at a god. Brother Bao whispered, "Brother, we didn't know you were here. I offended you so much before. I'm sorry. Do you think adults don't remember villains and let us go this time?" Yang Ling sneered and said, "Let you go? These bastards were thinking about killing me just now. So you just let it go? What?" Hearing this tone, Brother Bao's hair stood on end with fright. He gritted his teeth and said, "Smack them." Yes. The younger brothers were about to smoke on the spot, but Yang Ling said, "Did I ask you to smoke these bastards? If you are wronged, you have a debtor, Brother Bao. You don't even understand this rule, do you?" Brother Leopard shuddered all over without even thinking about it, and sternly shouted, "Get Shunji up for me. I'm going to kill this bastard." The little brother rushed forward and grabbed Shinji, who was already frightened, into a fool. Brother Bao didn't say anything, and two big mouths went over on the spot. Originally, this person had already been slapped by Yang Ling. Half of his face was swollen, and now it was even worse. After all, this Shinji is a classmate with Xiaofian and others. Although his behavior is disgusting, the woman is soft-hearted. She said softly, "This, brother, let's forget it. If you fight like this, you will die." Because Brother Bao recognized Yang Ling, and Xiaofian thought they knew each other, the possibility that this young man was Yang Ling was ruled out. Just take it as another little man who is as capable as that person. Hearing this beautiful woman call him that, Yang Ling felt amused. He waved his hand and said, "Forget it. That's it. I reckon the law enforcement team is coming soon. You all just kneel down and wait for them to come." As soon as this remark came out, a few little errants who didn't know what was going on were itching their teeth with hatred. But Brother Bao breathed a sigh of relief. Since this young master said so, then this test is over, and his other leg is finally saved. As for going to the police station, Brother Leopard is a regular visitor, and he didn't participate in the fight. Wouldn't it be over if he pushed a few younger brothers out to take the blame? Ding, you have fulfilled Brother Bao's wish to pass the level safely. Wish value +1, current progress, 11/10. Thinking of this, Brother Bao shouted, "What are you doing in a daze? Kneel down." At this time, there was a sound of woo-woo at the door. There was such a big movement here. Someone had already called the police. The fully armed law enforcement officers rushed in, but they were slightly taken aback when they saw the scene in front of them. The leader was a middle-aged man. He stared at the group of kneeling prostitutes with wide eyes, and then his eyes fell on Brother Leopard in the wheelchair. "Abeo, are you filming a movie?" Brother Bao smiled wryly. "The younger brothers are ignorant. They hit someone here, and I made them kneel down to apologize." "Are you so good?" The middle-aged police chief sneered and said, "You were arrested on suspicion of picking quarrels and provoking trouble. Take them all away." Immediately started to move. The errands were detained and carried, and one by one they were sent to the law enforcement vehicle. The middle-aged captain walked up to Su Dazhuang and said, "Boss Su, what's going on?" Su Dazhuang handed over a bag of guns and said, "Captain Hao, we are good law-abiding citizens." Captain Hao frowned and glanced at the group in front of him. These people are all dressed in ordinary clothes, either women or children. Young Ling, they really don't look like bad guys. "But what is the responsibility?" he said in a deep voice. "Anyway, you should go to the office with me and clarify." Su Dazhuang said very sensibly, "Captain Hao, we and the owner of the restaurant will follow you. My little brother and a few ladies are frightened. It's better to let them rest early." Captain Hao nodded when he heard the words, and after glancing at Yang Ling, he shouted, "Close the team." Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Su Dazhuang looked at Yang Ling and said, "Little master, I'll treat you to dinner later." As he was about to leave, Yang Ling patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile, "Thank you for your hard work. Next time I'll be the host." Yes. Hearing this, Su Dazhuang gasped involuntarily, and at the same time his heart couldn't be more excited. He knew that he finally had weight in this expert's heart. He wanted to say something excitedly, but when he saw Yang Ling's smiling eyes, he couldn't say anything. Need to say something? It is enough to have his old man's words. He nodded vigorously and greeted the other three muscular men. "Come on, let's go to the office and explain it, and I will show you guys a high-level comparison." Okay. These three muscular men had no brains, so they immediately followed excitedly after hearing this. "Ding, you have fulfilled Su Dazhuang's wish to eat again. The wish value is +1, and the current progress is 12/10." Yang Ling smiled faintly, and after these people had left, he looked at Xia Fian who was beside him, but he couldn't help being surprised. This woman was drugged, and because the situation was too tense before, the effect of the drug was suppressed by the nervousness. Now that she relaxed, the drug immediately rebounded strongly. Now her whole body was trembling slightly. There was a layer of fragrant sweat on her forehead, and her face was as red as an apple. Xia Fian saw the young man beside her look at her. Her face turned even redder, and she, who was already in a trance, went limp and fell down. With quick eyes and quick hands, Yang Ling hugged her by the waist. Qiu Shufan exclaimed, "Fian, what's wrong with you?" Yang Ling grabbed her wrist, and it was hot. He frowned and said, "She ate something evil. It's very powerful. It must be treated immediately." Cure, cure. Qiu Shufan obviously thought of something else, and her face turned red. She looked at Yang Ling and said, "Brother, do you want to send him to the hospital?" Yang Ling shook his head and said, "The effect of the medicine has penetrated into the blood, so it may be too late to send it to the hospital." After hesitating for a while, she directly carried Xia Fian and left the small restaurant, took out the key of the sports car from her purse, threw the woman behind the co-pilot, and started the car. Behind her, Xia Fian's classmates all ran out, and Qiu Shufan shouted, "Where are you taking her?" After looking back at everyone, Yang Ling said seriously, "Go and get medical treatment. Rest assured." After the words fell, the sports car rushed out like a bow and arrow off the string and disappeared into the night in the blink of an eye. Ding! Activate the driving mastery skill. With the strengthening of this skill, the speed of the sports car has reached a terrifying 240 horses. It used to take more than half an hour to drive to the hot spring hotel normally, but now it only takes 10 minutes. But at this moment, Xia Fian has completely fallen. Her whole body is hot. Her clothes are half naked. Her limp arms are hooked around Yang Ling, and she keeps rubbing the tip of her small nose against his neck. Yang Ling's face turned red, and his heart was beating rapidly. Any man who is pestered by such a beautiful woman will become angry. But he is not an ordinary person after all. Even if he is distracted, he will not be dazzled by desire. With one hand, he pressed Xiaofian's soft body on the seat, and with the other hand, he drove the sports car forward at high speed. But what I didn't expect was that Xiaofian actually entangled his hand and gently rubbed her small face. Rub it, just bear with it. Yang Ling didn't bother with her anymore. Rubbing his hands was better than rubbing his neck. A while later, in the hot spring hotel, Yang Ling hugged Xiaofian, got on the elevator under the surprised eyes of the waiter, opened the door, and threw the girl on the bed. Once on the bed, the clear fire in Xiaofian's body exploded completely. She almost threw herself into Yang Ling's arms, twisting and kept murmuring, "It's so hot. Hug me, okay." Ding, the Chinese medicine proficiency skill is activated. Yang Ling pushed her down again and took off all the girl's clothes without saying a word. It's not that Yang Ling wants to see it, but that wearing it will affect heat dissipation and perspiration, so it has to be done. Puff. No surprises, Yang Ling got a nosebleed decisively under such stimulation. Ding, the injury mastery skill is activated, and the bleeding state has been repaired for you. Unexpectedly, this skill is usually useless, but now it comes in handy, and the nosebleed was stopped immediately. He took a deep breath, forced himself to calm down, then held down Xiaofian with one hand, making her struggle in vain, and accurately patted the acupuncture point on her waist with the other hand. Ugh! Xiaofian groaned softly, and her body twisted even more violently. Ding! The injury proficiency skill activates. Yang Ling wiped off the blood and said to himself, "Strange, why didn't you sweat?" After thinking for a while, he showed a dazed expression. The emotional medicine produced by modern medicine is different from the previous ones, so the method of resolving it also needs to be changed. He didn't know what kind of medicine that scumbag Shinji gave, so he could only look for the acupuncture points one by one. Yang Ling looked at Xiaofian, who was struggling gently, as if she was about to melt, touched her nose, and said, "I'm sorry, I offended you." The next step is to search for acupoints one by one, which naturally and unavoidably touches Xiaofian's body. The acupuncture point for resolving it was not found. But how could this woman bear being teased like this? Yang Ling frowned, knowing that if this went on like this, the fire of love would not disappear, and his brain would burn out. In desperation, he could only let Xiaofian go. Without restraint, Xiaofian immediately rushed forward, and the moment she hugged Yang Ling, she let out a heavy breath. Compared with her scalding body, Yang Ling's body temperature was like an ice cube, which could have a cooling effect. Xiaofian squeezed gently in his arms and let out a comfortable hum. In fact, it wasn't that Yang Ling wanted to take advantage of her, it was just to let the girl vent a little, otherwise her brain might burn out. Ding! The injury recovery skill is activated. Feeling the temperature in his arms, Yang Ling shook his head vigorously. Anyway, he pressed all the acupoints on the front, so just hug him. It won't affect his search for the acupoints on the back. With her fingers, she searched for acupuncture points one by one on Xiaofian's hot and delicate skin. Suddenly, when she pressed a certain acupuncture point on her lower back, Xiaofian froze, and then her body oozed a layers of sweat. It's done. Yang Ling breathed a sigh of relief, but it took time to detoxify through sweat, and during this period, he could only let Xiaofian hold her. Suddenly, the woman in his arms stopped moving. Yang Ling held her wrist and felt her pulse, and a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Now Xiaofian's pulse is stable, and her body temperature has also dropped. This terrible poison has been completely resolved. Ding! You smashed Xiaofian's wish for you to hold her. Attribute point +1. What a mess! Yang Ling put the woman in his arms on the bed, covered her with a quilt, and left the room. In the middle of the night, with light rain falling outside, Xiaofian woke up leisurely on the bed. She looked at the ceiling, and 2 lines of tears fell from the corners of her eyes. She clearly remembered what she had done. Just now, on this bed, I was pestering the boy like a woman, desperately longing for the original desire. How so? How did it become like this? Xia Fian was sobbing. Suddenly, she put on her clothes and walked out of the concierge door quickly. The night was already very deep, and the rain was getting heavier and heavier. By the fountain in the hotel garden, Xia Fian, whose whole body was soaked in rainwater, looked at the boundless sky, crying silently. Tears mixed with rain fell down his cheeks. It seemed that only this heavy rain could wash away his unbearable memories. Rumble! There was a flash of thunder, illuminating this corner. Xia Fian closed her eyes and let the rain slap her face. The pain, confusion, shyness, and despair in her heart almost made her breathless. Why isn't he? If it was him, I wouldn't be in such pain. Ling, where are you? Why don't you come to me? She kept muttering to herself, like a flower fluttering in the wind and rain, and might be torn to pieces at any time. But the next moment, an umbrella shielded her from the wind and rain. Xia Fian felt her whole body lighten up and instinctively looked up. Under the dim light, a handsome young man was looking at her calmly. It's you. There was a desperate smile on the corner of her mouth. You must look down on me, right? Sorry, I'm a shameless woman. The young man stared at her and said with a faint smile, You just got seriously ill. It's not good to be in the rain. Go back. Xia Fian stared blankly at the young man in front of her, and suddenly the emotions in her heart burst like a flood. She threw herself into the boy's arms and said in pain, Why aren't you him? Why are you being so nice to me? A woman like me is not worth it. Not worth it. The boy threw the umbrella aside, hugged Xia Fian, and smiled slightly. Then who do you want me to be? The voice was clear and familiar. Xia Fian was taken aback for a moment and slowly looked up. The rain completely washed away the makeup on the young man's face. Who is this smiling man if he isn't Yang Ling? Xia Fian stared blankly at Yang Ling, her whole body trembling slightly. Then, as if realizing something, she suddenly pushed Yang Ling away and said, Ling, No, you can't. I was confused just now. I didn't like you. I really didn't. The voice became smaller and smaller, because she realized that Yang Ling was just looking at her with a smile. The tenderness in his eyes seemed to melt her heart. Xia Fian hugged her chest and kept backing away in the heavy rain. She looked at Yang Ling and said with a sob, I'm really. Her voice trembled more and more, as if something was pressing on her heart, making her unable to even raise the strength to speak. Yang Ling stretched out his hand slowly and said with a slight smile, I understand. Come back with me. What? The boy's smiling face in the heavy rain was so gentle, and the outstretched hand was like the last ray of light in the abyss, illuminating her. I understand. Come back with me. A few short words instantly shattered all of Xia Fian's defenses. She rushed over desperately, threw all her strength into Yang Ling's arms, and cried loudly, Ling, can I really go home? Won't Muhan blame me? Yang Ling gently embraced the woman in his arms and whispered in her ear, No, she asked me to come. You are the mother she admires the most. No matter what happens, no matter what the future holds, she and I will always protect you for the rest of our lives. Because you are our most important family. Xia Fian's heart trembled violently. Tears burst into tears in an instant, and there was no need to say 1,000 words. Is there anything more important than family? She hugged Yang Ling tightly. At this moment, she completely let go of all the scruples in her heart. In the wind and rain, only the embrace of family members is the warmest safe haven. She said softly, with a voice that only she could hear, Ling, thank you. Let's go home. Ding, Xia Fian is willing to go home with you. You have completed the mission. Ding, all your attribute values increase by 10 points. After you return, everyone in the Liu family will greatly increase their favorability towards you. Ding, Xia Fian has officially become a person associated with the system. Hugs in the wind and rain. Xia Fian's intimacy with you has reached 100 points, and from now on, life and death, you will never leave. Ding, you have 4 attributes that have reached an integer. Do you choose to draw a random reward now? Ding, you got a wish chest. Would you like to open it now? Who would have thought that Xia Fian's intimacy would be immediately full? Yang Ling rubbed his nose, planning to take a shower and change clothes after going back, and then touched the prize to open the box. A while later, in VIP room 3773, Xia Fian came out refreshed after taking a bath, looked at Yang Ling with a blushing face, and said, Ling, do you want to take a bath first? Puff. Yang Ling found that the conversation was a bit weird, so he blushed and said, It's too late. I'll go back to my room first if I have nothing to do. See you tomorrow. What? Is this going back? Xia Fian had obvious reluctance in her eyes. It has to be said that this woman's allure and lethality are several levels higher than Zhang Yuro's. Yang Ling seemed to have thought of some strange scenes and almost got a nosebleed again. He hurriedly got up and said, Let's talk about it when we go back. After finishing speaking, he didn't dare to look at Xia Fian and left the room directly. Xia Fian stared blankly at the young man's back and suddenly burst out laughing. Ding, you shattered concubine Xia's wish, attribute point +1. After all, she is the mother-in-law. Although she looks very young, the current situation is beyond the limit, and it cannot be overdone, otherwise the author will be sprayed, and everyone understands it. At least not now. After returning to the room, Yang Ling took a shower, lay on the bed, and began to digest what he had gained. +1045424140. He said in a deep voice, Draw an integer reward for me. Ding, for integer rewards are being drawn for you. Ding, congratulations on obtaining the skill's mechanical repair proficiency. Attribute points +2, charm points +2, and attribute points +3. All 4 rewards have been drawn, but unfortunately only one skill has been drawn, but this mechanical repair proficiency is very practical, and it can be regarded as a very good skill. Yang Ling nodded in satisfaction and began to distribute the newly obtained attribute points. He now has 10 free attribute points. After hesitating for a while, he added 5 points of strength and 5 points of spiritual power respectively. At present, his attributes have changed again. Power, 45. Agility, 42. Stamina, 46. Mental power, 45. Charisma, 16. Free attribute points, 0. Wish value, 13 out of 10. This panel data is almost out of the scope of human beings. In terms of strength, every increase in the value is equivalent to an increase of 20 kilograms of strength, and 45 points of strength is equivalent to 900 kilograms of strength for a meal. After launching the Great Strength Technique, the strength soared to 1,800 kilograms. If he slapped him with all his strength, he might explode the head of a cow. And 46 points of physical strength are enough to support Yang Ling's continuous explosions. The most important thing is that his agility is 42 points, which is ridiculously fast. If Lingbo Weibo is added, running at full speed is probably faster than a sports car. Now he is almost invincible, even relying on his own strength alone. At present, he still has 13 wish points. After hesitating for a while, he didn't make a wish. Now the skills are enough for the time being, so it's better to save the upgrade superpower. The critical moment came. After Yang Ling took a deep breath, he said in a deep voice, Open the wish chest for me. Ding. The host chose to open the treasure chest, and the top reward is being drawn for you. Please wait. Yang Ling became nervous when he heard the words. Zhang Yuro brought him the magic skill of repelling objects through the air. I don't know what good things Xia Fian can give him. Outward skills, outward skills. The Swan Swain Yin mode was turned on again, and, after a long wait, the system's voice finally sounded. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining one of the top artifacts in the heavens and the world, the Dragon Soul Sword of Sun and Mother. Mother Dragon Soul Sword. The body of the sword is forged with 81 bones of celestial dragons, and the spirit of the sword is forged with the souls of celestial dragons. One sword can cut down stars with infinite power. The Dragon Soul Sword can be split into 81 pieces at most, and the host can change its shape as he likes. Each change consumes 1 point of mental power. Mother-Child Dragon Soul Sword current level. LV1, current number of splits. 9 pieces, The number of splits increases by 1 for every LV9 upgrade, and the host can consume the wish value to upgrade. As the system's voice fell, a light flashed in front of Yang Ling's eyes, and then a golden long sword slowly emerged. There were 81 wild dragons engraved on the body of this sword, all in different shapes. Yang Ling was dumbfounded at the moment. Mother and Child Dragon's soul sword? The top artifact of the heavens and the world. Should I be so exaggerated? After taking a deep breath, he stretched out his hand to hold the hilt of the sword, and then a sense of blood connection came, and with a thought, the sword shook slightly, and instantly turned into 9 small golden swords floating on his chest around. As the owner of the Dragon Soul Sword, Yang Ling already knew how to use this artifact, but with another thought, the 9 golden swords changed and turned into 9 small shields that swirled around him. I'll change again. The Dragon Soul Sword was twisted again. This time it turned into 9 golden little dragons of different shapes. As if this form was the true face of the Dragon Soul Sword, the golden little dragons rubbed around Yang Ling affectionately, digging, "This can't be a real dragon." The doubt system in his heart solved it for him. Ding, the Dragon's soul sword and sword spirit are forged with the soul of the dragon. In a sense, they're indeed real dragons. Yang Ling was dumbfounded, and with a tap of his fingertips, the 9 little dragons joined together and turned into a 3 to 4 meter long golden dragon, circling and dancing around him. The scene was extremely shocking. I'm a motherfucker. People walk their dogs. Can I walk a dragon? Even with Yang Ling's concentration, he couldn't help but want to shout 3 times. Suddenly, he thought of a strange thing. When the new year started, the golden dragon's figure began to distort, and in the next moment it turned into a naked, golden-skinned beauty. Puff, there really is such an operation. Yang Ling almost spit out nosebleeds. He carefully looked at the golden beauty with closed eyes in front of him, touched it with his hands, and found that his whole body was hard. He asked curiously, "System, can you change the color? Change the gender?" Ding! As the level of the mother-child dragon soul sword increases, the quality will also increase. Both the power of the dragon soul sword and the degree of realism after changing forms will increase accordingly. The female dragon soul sword of the factor is based on the female sword. When it changes into a biological form, it will only appear in a female state. So that's the case. Yang Ling nodded and directly used the saved wish points to upgrade without saying a word. Ding! Consume 10 points of wishing points. Upgrade the Mother and Child Dragon Soul Sword to LV2, and the next level requires 20 points of wishing points. The upgrade was successful, and the Golden Beauty in front of her noticed some changes. Her whole body softened a little, but no matter how she looked at it, she still looked like a statue of a Golden Beauty. He tried to change several forms and basically mastered all the functions of the Dragon Soul Sword. This sword is extremely sharp, cutting iron like mud, but it is obviously not the most correct way to use it in his hand. It is still the right way to cooperate with the skill of repelling objects through the air and to control the sword for thousands of miles like a sword fairy. With a thought, the Dragon Soul sword shrank rapidly and finally turned into a golden bracelet engraved with 81 miniature dragons, which he wore on his wrist. It was already late at night. A lot of things happened today. His mental power was exhausted a bit fast, so he stopped thinking about it now, turned off the lights, and went to sleep. After a night of nothing, Yang Ling woke up at noon the next day and called Su Dazhuang immediately. Su Dazhuang's panting sound came from the other end of the phone, and he could tell that these muscular guys were looking cool. Su Dazhuang sincerely invited Yang Ling to come over, but was rejected on the spot. Now that he had started playing, it meant he was fine. After Yang Ling made an appointment to contact him again, he hung up the phone. A while later, after washing up, he was about to go downstairs to find something to eat. When he just left the door, he met Xia Fian, who was walking over. Today, this woman is wearing a light blue dress, but her hair that was originally coiled up is loose, and with a little makeup on, she looks younger again. In the eyes of outsiders, she is at most a 23-year-old girl. Seeing Yang Ling, Xia Fian blushed a little and said, I was planning to invite you to dinner. Yang Ling smiled lightly and said, Is your body better? Xiaofian nodded slightly, stared at Yang Ling, and said, Ling, you saved me again. Thank you very much. Yang Ling shook his head with a smile and said, Let's go. Let's have dinner together. In the restaurant, two people sat facing each other. Xiaofian seemed to be in a different mood and seemed to be in a good mood. Yang Ling's charm value of 16 points made him a little more handsome, and there was a faint aura exuding from his gestures, which made many young ladies secretly look at him. Not to mention Xiaofian's appearance. The two of them were a good match when they sat together, and people on both sides cast envious glances from time to time. In 3 days' time, it will be the day when the high school entrance examination will be released. Yang Ling wants to go back, but Xiaofian has to say this first. As if seeing what he was thinking, Xiaofian smiled slightly and said, Ling, let's go after lunch. Hunter must be waiting impatiently. Yang Ling nodded and was about to say something when his cell phone rang. It was Lu Muhan who called. A concerned voice came from the other end of the phone. Ling, have you found your mother? Yang Ling glanced at Xiaofian, who was blushing, and said with a slight smile, She's by my side, she's fine. Call. Lu Muhan let out a long breath. She seemed to have thought of something, and said anxiously, Mom's cell phone is turned off. Please let her answer the phone. Something has happened. Okay. Yang Ling was slightly taken aback when he heard the words, then handed the phone to concubine Xia and said, Director Lu said something happened. Xiaofian's heart tightened, and an ominous premonition welled up. After a while, she hung up the phone, and she said solemnly, Ling, can you accompany me to City H? My dad seems to be dying. What? Yang Ling was also taken aback when he heard that. He also knew a little about Xiaofian's background. Before she married Lu Muhan's father, she was the most beloved daughter of the Xia family in Jiangnan province. Speaking of the Xia family, it is also a great big family. Xia Hongda, the old man of the Xia family, is a big figure who has retired from the capital and exists on the same level as the old man Lu. However, Mr. Xia and Mr. Lu were not on good terms before. Although they are both in Jiangnan province, they never communicated. Back then, the marriage between Xiaofian and Lu Muhan's father was opposed by the entire Xia family. Xiaofian ran away from home in a rage. Since then, her name was removed from the family tree, and she was expelled from the Xia family. Mr. Xia is also a tough-tempered man, and he has never called Xiaofian for so many years, but this time the originally tough old man suddenly got a strange disease, and it seems that his life is not long. Although he didn't say it clearly, the old man still wanted to see this daughter before he died. Xiaofian couldn't get through on the phone, so the members of the Xia family called Mr. Lu directly. The Mr. Lu didn't say much and let the daughter-in-law decide whether to go or not. Yang Ling originally wanted to go home safely and make money, but seeing Xiaofian's eager expression, he sighed softly in his heart, nodded and said, All right, I'll accompany you on this journey. Xiaofian smiled when she heard the words, and suddenly she blushed a little and said, That's it. You should know my relationship with the family. Since my late husband died, my family members hoped that I would sever ties with the Lu family and urged me to remarry. I will definitely bring this up when I go back, and then you can just say that I have a boyfriend. Muhan is also ready to go. Let's go quickly. A wry smile appeared on the corner of Yang Ling's mouth. Seeing that Xiaofian had already got up, he stuffed a piece of bread and hurriedly followed. City M and City H are not far away, and it only takes half a day for Xiaofian's sports car to go back and forth. After driving all the way, the two arrived at the door of Xia's big villa. This is a huge villa built in the mountains, covering a very large area, just like a small palace. Different from the Lu family, the Xia family has a thriving population, and the whole family basically lives in the villa. Counting servants and chefs, there are at least 50 people. As soon as the two of them got out of the car, a middle-aged man who looked like a butler came up to welcome him. Seeing Empress Xia, he hurriedly saluted and said, Miss Six, you are finally back. Master is about to die. You should go and have a look. Xiaofian showed an eager look on her face. After handing over the car keys to the housekeeper, she pulled Yang Ling and ran into the villa. The housekeeper said in surprise, "Miss, this young man is—" "You know the old man's temper. I'm afraid that someone who has nothing to do with him will go in. He is my son-in-law." After throwing down these words, Xia Fian dragged young Ling and walked in quickly, leaving the butler in a daze. "Son-in-law, Miss Muhan is married." Mr. Xia's room was decorated in an antique style, but it was full of people at the moment. It seemed that the matter was really serious. It is estimated that Mr. Xia had reached the last moment. But at this moment, Xia Fian was blocked from the door. A middle-aged man said indifferently, "You still have the face to come back? The old man doesn't want to see you, let's go." Xia Fian said eagerly, "Fifth brother, let me go in and see Dad for the last time." The middle-aged man sneered, "Let you in? Go in and divide the inheritance. Let me tell you, after you married that Lu, you're no longer a member of our Xia family. Let me go right away, or I'll let the bodyguard drive you out." Concubine Xia was about to burst into tears. She raised her eyes, but there were people in front of her, so she couldn't see Mr. Xia at all. Seeing this, the middle-aged man sneered and said, "Okay, stop pretending here. You shouldn't be short of money in Lu's house, so why come to your mother's house to get another share? Let's go." The movement here alarmed the people nearby, and they looked at Xia Fian with a hint of coldness in their eyes. Usually, everyone is a person of status, so it's okay to nod to each other when meeting, but now it's time to divide the inheritance, and a huge sum of billions is still divided. We'll give you a good face. Seeing this kind of gaze, Xia Fian suddenly became disheartened. These relatives, in the face of huge interests, have changed after all. She shook her head with a wry smile, looked at Yang Ling, and said, "Maybe I really shouldn't have come here, Ling. Let's go back." Yang Ling smiled slightly and said, "It's already here. How can you just go back like this?" He took a step forward, looked at the middle-aged man, and said calmly, "I'll count to 3. If you don't get out of the way, you may be in a terrible situation." 3. The middle-aged man was taken aback when he heard the words, and then he said angrily, "What are you? How dare you talk to me like that? Little sister, you are getting more and more capable. When your husband dies, you can find a good-for-nothing. It's fine if you look for it, but you dare to bring him here to speak nonsense? The old man really loved your daughter for nothing in the past." 2. Yang Ling's voice was calm, while Xia Fian said indifferently, "Fifth brother is my son-in-law." "Son-in-law? Then he is from a Lu family, and I can't let him in." 1. Yang Ling said lightly, "It's time, you talk too much nonsense." The next moment, there was a crisp sound, and Yang Ling slapped the man flying away, hitting a pillar with a bang. There was nothing unexpected. This person tilted his head and passed out directly. The audience was silent. Almost everyone's eyes turned to him. The next moment, the bodyguards on both sides reacted abruptly, and at the same time stretched their hands to their waist to take out their weapons. "Okay." Yang Ling's eyes lit up, and he stomped his foot on the ground, only to see a grid spreading from under his feet, and then there was a crackling sound. All 10 bodyguards fell to the ground in convulsions, motionless. All this happened too fast, and by the time everyone reacted, the bodyguard had already fallen to the ground. What happened? What happened? Everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them, and they all looked at Yang Ling in horror. The Xia family is a special family, with ancient martial arts passed down. Mr. Xia used this miraculous kung fu to cross the battlefield and made great contributions to the country. Those who can be in this room are considered as the core members of the Xia family. They have heard about this kind of thing more or less. Ordinary people may not understand it, but they are already stunned. This kid is a master. Moreover, he is a supreme master, so high that he is in an unbelievable state. Yang Ling glanced at the group of people calmly, with a faint coldness in his eyes, and when his gaze swept over them, even the great figures of the Xia family jumped in their hearts and lowered their heads involuntarily. Suddenly, he seemed to sense something and looked toward the corner. There stood a girl in red, with a smile on her face, smiling at him shallowly. This woman was extremely beautiful, with a faint aura in her brows. She looked at Yang Ling with a sweet smile, and there was a sense of surprise in her eyes. The moment Yang Ling saw this woman, he felt amazed, which made his scalp tingle. You know, Yang Ling's life level has been sublimated. Unless it is an earth-shattering beauty like Lu Muhan, no matter how beautiful other ordinary women are, it is impossible for him to feel this way. But when he took a closer look, this feeling disappeared, as if it had never happened before. The woman in red has also turned into an ordinary girl with a beautiful appearance. At this moment, she is just like everyone else, lowering her head and not daring to look at him. He has the skill of photographic memory, and he will not forget the fleeting feeling of surprise just now. Illusion? No, what is this? Yang Ling was shocked in his heart, but he didn't show it on his face. He kept his doubts in his heart and said calmly, "Father's life is dying, and children are naturally eligible to visit. For a family as big as the Xia family, it's not like they don't even understand these rules, do they?" Although the voice was flat, there was an irresistible majesty. Everyone in the field dared not say a word and consciously stepped aside. "Ding, you have crushed everyone's desire not to let Xiaofian visit the old man. Your ability value is +1. What is anti-customer-oriented? This is anti-customer-oriented. Under the suppression of absolute strength, what can even a big family do? One person can suppress the entire audience, making these high-ranking characters dare not fart." Seeing this, Yang Ling smiled lightly and walked forward. Xiaofian knew that Yang Ling was a capable person, and he was full of intimacy, so he would not have any thoughts about his sweetheart. In the past, because of running away from home, she thought she was inferior to the members of the Xia family, and most of the occasional meetings were in a hurry. But now that Yang Ling opened the way, she raised her head and followed Yang Ling step by step, feeling both sweet and proud in her heart. "Ding, you have fulfilled Xiaofian's wish to visit the old man. The wish value is +1, and the current progress is 4/10." When she got closer, Xiaofian looked at the skinny old man, who was already delirious, and burst into tears. The old woman beside her sighed softly. "Fian, you still have time to see him for the last time. It's just that he has been unconscious since last night. I'm afraid he won't see you." As she spoke, the old woman's voice choked up, and Xiaofian's eyes turned red. She had resented the old man, hated why he didn't fulfill his wish, and why he expelled herself from the Xia family. But now seeing his father like this, all the past has long since vanished. She squatted beside the bed, held the old man's skinny hand with her little white hand, and choked up, "Dad, I'm here." As if sensing his daughter's arrival, the old man's fingers trembled slightly, as if he was about to wake up, but he still didn't open his eyes after all. "Old man." The old woman began to cry, and Xiaofian also wept silently. Suddenly, she seemed to think of something, looked at Yang Ling, held his hand firmly, and said, Ling, if you can cure me, maybe you can cure my father?" As soon as the statement came out, everyone gasped. Everyone knows that this young man is a supermaster. If the old man is really cured, then many people's desire to share the inheritance will be in vain. A middle-aged man beside the bed said, "Fian, I'm happy for you to come, but all the famous doctors in the capital have come to see him. The old man is already powerless to recover from his appearance, so it's better not to mess around. Let him go in peace." Xiaofian shook her head vigorously and said, "No, big brother, let Ling try it. He is very powerful. He must have a way." As she spoke, she looked at Yang Ling, her eyes full of expectation. Yang Ling frowned. With the old man's appearance, even if he was proficient in Chinese medicine, he was not sure. Just as he was about to say something, another middle-aged man, next to the eldest brother, said, "We all know that this little brother is a capable person, but the matter has come to this point, I really don't want to bother him anymore." "Yes," a lady next to the second brother sneered. "Why put on airs? Don't you just want to share some inheritance? You can't spend all the Liu family's money in your lifetime. Why are you so greedy?" Xiaofian shook her head vigorously when she heard the words, "No, second sister-in-law, I don't want any money. But what if Dad can really wake up? Isn't it okay to try? Wake up and have a fart legacy." There was coldness in everyone's eyes, and the third sister sneered. All right, little sister, so many famous doctors in the country can't treat a disease that can't be treated well. This little brother can treat it well. By the way, who is this little brother? The people here are all members of the Xia family. Why can he come in? Xia Fian said, his name is Yang Ling, and he is my daughter's boyfriend. So it's your son-in-law. The third sister sneered again and said, that's right. That girl Lu Muhan has found a handsome and capable man. Okay, we all know that he is powerful. You brought him here to show off, and you've already shown off, so you can't stand quietly on the side. Is it because you want Dad to leave without peace? Xia Fian smiled wryly. As smart as she is, how could she not know what these people were thinking? Inheritance, these people are nothing more than money. They don't want any surprises. The elders may not care about Yang Ling's identity, but the young people, especially the young men's, eyes suddenly became sharper. Lu Muhan's boyfriend? It's worth it. Lu Muhan is a super beautiful woman. Who doesn't like this cousin? There are not a few people here who want to marry Lu Muhan. Immediately, a young man sneered and said, Auntie, Muhan's marriage is not only a matter of the Lu family, but also a matter of our Xia family. Although this little brother is good, he is not from our circle after all. Are you thinking about it? That's right. Didn't this person just kill a few bodyguards? The men in our Xia family have practiced martial arts since childhood. Like these bodyguards, I can kill 20 of them with one hand. That Yang Ling, right? He was quite imposing just now. How about we practice later? The younger generation of the Xia family thought it was a mess. But at this moment, a stern voice sounded, Shut up. It was an old woman who spoke. As the hostess of this family, her words still carry a lot of weight. Hearing her words, all the voices disappeared for a while. The old woman looked at Yang Ling and said, Xiao Ling, you are Muhan's boyfriend and will be her husband in the future. You are also half of the Xia family. Don't worry about what these people said just now. They're all blindfolded by money. If you really have a way, please give it a try. Whether it succeeds or not, the old woman will make a meeting gift for you. Yang Ling smiled lightly when he heard the words. Grandma, you are joking. I'm just an ordinary person, so naturally I dare not be half of the Xia family. There are so many important people here who are all for inheritance, so naturally I can't be exempt. How about this? If the old man can't be cured, the red envelope will be free. I don't want to turn around and leave without paying any money. As he spoke, he glanced at the group of children who were mocking just now with a half smile, and then said, But if it is cured, please give her the share of my wife. How about it? When this statement came out, everyone was stunned. The wife he mentioned is naturally Xia Fian. The old man has 6 children in total, and this share is 1/6 of the entire family property. The Xia family has been in business for so many years, and I don't know how many industries it owns, 1/6 of which is also a billion-dollar foundation. Everyone gasped, and the second child said on the spot, Impossible. You are simply wishful thinking. That's right, my little sister has already been kicked out of the family. How could he have a share? Mother, don't agree. Yang Ling smiled lightly, but the old woman said in a deep voice, Are you crazy? Isn't the old man's life worth $1 billion? Xiao Ling, I agree to this matter, old lady. If you are really sure, just make a move. As he said that, he said to Lao Dao, Go and prepare a check for $1 billion. If the old man really wakes up, he will immediately give the money to Fian. The boss is an honest person. He nodded when he heard the words and went there on the spot. Yang Ling smiled faintly and started to do it. He stretched out a finger and pressed on the old man's wrist, and then his face darkened. Everyone looked at him nervously, not daring to breathe. After a moment of silence, Yang Ling skillfully rolled the old man's eyelids and seemed to have some thoughts and suddenly asked, How was the old man before? When did he get sick? The old woman hurriedly said, My old man has always been in good health, but he suddenly got a strange disease 10 days ago. He has invited many famous doctors, but he is helpless. Yang Ling frowned and said, Did something happen 10 days ago? What happened? The old woman showed a look of hesitation, and suddenly something seemed to say, It has been safe and sound for a while, But about a month ago, a group of livestock in the family suddenly died, and the reason can't be found out. The old man said that there might be something evil in the house, so he invited a Taoist priest to do it. Until now, the livestock at home are fine, but the old man. As he spoke, he choked up again. Ling sighed softly and said, I don't know much about evil spirits, but according to Chinese medicine, the old man is indeed possessed by evil spirits. Be bewitched. Everyone gasped when they heard the words. The second child sneered and said, Boy, just take your pulse and say that my old man is bewitched. Do you think you are Zhang Tianshi from Longhu Mountain? How can there be so many evil things in this world? Ling didn't bother to look at him, so he asked the old woman, Is it true that you can tell if you are suffering from an evil spirit? Do you have silver needles at home? The old woman immediately said, Yes, I'll let someone pick it up. After a while, a set of silver needles was placed in front of Ling. After taking a deep breath, he cut a gash on the old man's finger. But to his shock, there was not even a trace of blood on the wound. As if the old man's body, it's as if the blood has coagulated. Everyone's eyes widened, and at this moment, Ling saw the direction and directly stuck 3 silver needles on the 3 acupuncture points. A creepy thing happened. The old man suddenly opened his mouth and let out a scream. A cloud of black mist sprayed out from his mouth, forming a black ghost head. What is this? The ghost grinned and frightened a large group of people on the spot. Ling was also taken aback. Thinking that he was not an ordinary person after all, he softly shouted, Surrender to death. Crack! There was a flash of thunder between his eyebrows, and the arc instantly hit the ghost's head. After a shrill scream, the ghost's head disappeared in smoke. The old man fell heavily on the bed, and a stream of black blood slowly flowed out from his fingertips. Dumbfounded, what happened just now shocked everyone. Ling didn't talk nonsense. The old man was really bewitched. But what was even more frightening was that a bolt of lightning shot out between Ling's brows, splitting the ghost's face apart. Could it be that this person is really the legendary hermit master, possessing supernatural powers that reach heaven and earth? Everyone's gazes at Ling changed, and most of them showed admiration in their eyes. The few people who made fun of Ling just now trembled a little. Ding! You smashed the wish of the second brother and others to mock you. Attribute point +1. The old woman woke up suddenly, stood up suddenly, and was about to kneel down in front of Ling, but was helped by him with quick eyesight and quick hands. The old lady said sincerely, Master, please help my old man. No matter what you ask, we will meet it. I beg you. Ling sighed softly. Just now I just used a method of Chinese medicine to force out a ray of evil energy from the old man's body. But the old man is weak. If I use this method to break the curse again, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on. To untie the bell, you need the person who tied it. If you want to eradicate it completely, you still need to find out the person who cast the curse. The old woman choked up and said, We don't know alchemy, and we don't know who cast the curse. Ling smiled lightly when he heard the words. From the perspective of Chinese medicine, the old man's body is getting weaker and weaker. The curse has lasted for at least a month. Didn't you just say that a Taoist priest came to do a month ago? Ask this Taoist priest to ask, and it will be clear. As soon as this remark came out, everyone suddenly realized the suspicion of this Taoist priest is indeed the biggest. The old woman said to the second child beside her, Go, take all the bodyguards in the house, and go to the gymnasium on the mountain to ask Master Wang to come down. Just say, Old lady, I have something to ask him. The second child nodded and was about to go, when his wife suddenly said, I'm going too. As she spoke, she was about to follow. But just as she was about to leave, a cold light flashed in front of her, and she dodged instinctively, only to see a coin flying past her head, smashing a crystal lamp. Suddenly, everyone froze on the spot. Ling took a few steps forward slowly and said with a faint smile, That's right, you can avoid my coins. You really don't have to wait for nothing. The second sister-in-law froze when she heard the words, and then she showed a look of panic and said, You, what are you doing? Ling smiled lightly and said, According to the research on criminal psychology, a criminal will often return to the crime scene afterwards and will leave only after making sure that everything is settled. There's a technique of looking at qi in our Chinese medicine, which can tell a person's health at a glance. Your breathing is different from ordinary people, and there's a faint evil spirit flowing between your brows. I have suspected you for a long time. The quick reaction of dodging just now and the lightness of the steps are not something ordinary people can do. These words have almost already explained that this second sister-in-law is definitely not simple. Everyone's eyeballs were about to pop out, and the second child said in horror, "Master, my wife has been with me all the time. It's impossible to be that powerful. Did you make a mistake?" The second sister-in-law also stammered, "What can I, a woman, do? You don't wrong a good person." This performance was no different from that of an ordinary woman. Everyone was a little dazed, but young Ling sneered, and if he didn't say anything, he kicked him. Boom! A gigantic force exploded out. If you were kicked by this kick, you might be kicked to explode on the spot. The sternness in the second sister-in-law's eyes flashed away, and the next moment she turned sideways to avoid the kick, and at the same time turned her palm into a knife and slashed at Yang Ling's. Ding! Tai Chi is proficient. Ding! The range perception skill is activated. The two skills were blessed instantly, and within a few breaths, the two of them got more than 10 moves right. But Yang Ling's basic attributes were too high after all. Under the pressure of physical fitness, the second sister-in-law was knocked to the ground by his heavy palm. There was a scream, and a puff of black smoke came out of the second sister-in-law, and the next moment she turned into a middle-aged man in a Taoist robe. From Yang Ling's sudden attack to the appearance of the demon Wei, all of this happened in a blink of an eye, and everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them. King Taoist Wang. Everyone stepped back instantly and looked at the Taoist priest who fell on the ground in horror. Yang Ling smiled lightly and said, "Your Excellency committed such a crime, and instead of fleeing to the mountains and forests, came here to watch the old man die. Are you too confident?" Viciousness appeared in Wang Daochang's eyes. At this time, the second son of the Xia family suddenly remembered something and said, "Where is my wife? Where is my wife?" "Your wife?" Wang Daochang sneered and said, "Your wife had a tryst with someone behind your back, and after I caught her, she killed the adulterer and adulterer." "What? You killed her?" The second child's eyes turned red all of a sudden. He snatched the bodyguard's hand and wanted to make a move, but was hit by a coin, and his hand flew out. Yang Ling waved his hand, signaling him to stay calm, and then looked at Wang Daochang on the ground and said, "This is the end of the matter. You don't need to struggle meaninglessly. I'm curious. It shouldn't be difficult for a person like you to make money. How could you curse the old man?" Taoist Wang sneered and said, "The hands of the Xia family are covered with blood. If it weren't for the Xia family, my parents would not have died tragically. It turned out to be revenge." Hearing this, Yang Ling sneered and said, "Your sorcery of raising ghosts can only be effective if you use living people as sacrifices. Even if your parents died under Mr. Xia's hands, it's nothing more than death. Okay, stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and unravel the spell. Maybe there's still a way to survive." After Wang Daochang glanced around instinctively, he sneered and said, "Did you not understand something? If I die, this old man will also have to be buried with me. I advise you to let me go safely. If not, I will let him die now." This statement can be described as a blatant threat, and embarrassment appeared on everyone's faces. The old man is now a hostage of Taoist Wang. If he dies, the old man will definitely not survive, but if he is let go, wouldn't it be letting the tiger go back to the mountain? If this person can cast a mantra once, he can cast it a second time. For a moment, all eyes were on the old woman, waiting for her to make a final decision. After a long silence, the old woman said, "I can guarantee that you will leave safely, but only when the old man wakes up." Taoist Wang sneered and said, "If he wakes up, I'm going to die. Let me go first, and I will call you later to tell you how to dissolve the evil poison in this old man's body." As he said that, he pointed at Yang Ling and said, "Let this person leave the Xia family. With him around, I won't be able to lift the spell." After hearing the words, everyone looked at Yang Ling in unison, only to hear Yang Ling say indifferently, "Taoist Wang, you take yourself too seriously. What I said before, I just want you to tell me the way to resolve it. I didn't expect you to be so stupid that you actually did this." As he spoke, he looked at a jade toad placed on a desk in a room and walked over slowly. Everyone was a little confused, but Wang Daochang's eyes showed a look of panic. Just now, I glanced instinctively. Did all the details of such a smile be captured? Thinking of this, he shuddered a little. What kind of existence is this young man who can subdue himself, but still have such keen observation skills? Under everyone's gaze, Yang Ling glanced at the jade toad on the table, and then flicked it with his fingers. Ding! The sound of shattering was heard, and the coin directly smashed the jade toad into pieces, and then a gust of evil wind rushed into the whole room, and there was a sound of strange laughter. Humph! Yang Ling snorted softly. His whole body flashed with lightning, and the cloud of black air in front of him was split without a trace. At the same time, the old man spat out a mouthful of black blood with a wow. The scene was shocking. Wang Daochang looked at Yang Ling in disbelief and said in a trembling voice, "You, who are you?" Yang Ling heard the words and said indifferently, "A person you can't afford." As he spoke, he flicked his fingers again, and the mirror on the other side of the room was shattered into debris, and there were also horrible voices and grimaces. But under Yang Ling's thunder, these strange things couldn't resist at all, and they disappeared in an instant. Next, Yang Ling was proficient in the two major skills of photographic memory and deduction, and smashed all the evil things in the room with just one look from the king. The old man coughed up black blood continuously, and when the last flower pot was smashed, the old man let out a breath of foul air, and his complexion suddenly became better. Save, save! Everyone was stunned. They were not fools. The old man was breathing very weakly at first, but now he was breathing evenly, no matter how you looked at it. He was much better. At this time, Taoist Wang on the ground suddenly burst in a green smoke, and after screaming a few times, he disappeared. This time even Yang Ling was stunned. He couldn't explain why this strange situation happened, but as if something was pulling him somewhere, he instinctively looked towards a corner of the room. The woman in red who had amazed him before was also looking at her with a faint smile. But just like before, in the blink of an eye, this woman returned to the appearance of an ordinary girl. Everything as if in a dream. "What is this?" He frowned, but at this moment, Mr. Xiao woke up. Although the person was awake, he still couldn't speak. After Yang Ling felt his pulse, he smiled lightly and said, "It's okay. I'll prescribe a prescription here, and you can decoct the medicine on time. The old man's health is good, and he will recover within a month." After saying this, Xia Fian and the old lady breathed a sigh of relief, but the rest of the people showed a more or less disappointed look. "Ding, you have fulfilled Xia Fian and others' wish for the old man to get better, and the wish value is +1. Ding, you smashed everyone's wish to share the inheritance. Your ability value +1. A moment later, in the living room of Xia's family, the old woman handed a check to Yang Ling with a smile and said, "Xiao Ling, this is the agreed amount." Yang Ling was slightly taken aback when he heard the words. He didn't expect to give money. The old woman laughed and said, "Actually, the old man has already prepared this for his daughter, and it is the same for her now." As she said that, she looked at Xia Fian and said, "Fian, although it's a bit late to say it now, let's treat this billion as your father's dowry." Xia Fian shook her head with jealousy. "Mom, I'm rich. I am still." Before he finished speaking, Yang Ling smiled and said, "This is a wish from the two old people. If you don't accept it, they will feel uneasy." At this moment, Xia Fian had already obeyed Yang Ling's words. Hearing this, she took the check from Yang Ling, nodded, and put it in her bag. Seeing this, the old woman smiled slightly and nodded to the eldest son beside her. The eldest son took out a red envelope from the purse and handed it to the old woman. "Xiaoling, here's a check for 3,000 million yuan, which can be regarded as a meeting gift from our Xia family. You must not refuse." 3,000? There are ghosts in refusal. Yang Ling took the red envelope graciously, put it in his pocket, and said with a smile, "Thank you very much." Xiaofian rolled her eyes angrily and said angrily, "Ling, can't you be polite?" Yang Ling smiled slightly and said, "I'm a rough person, so I won't come here for such nonsense." No seriousness. Xiaofian smiled lightly and shook her head. "Mom, this child is sometimes naughty. Don't take it for granted." The old woman smiled and said, "Young people should be like this. Xiaoling, come here with Muhan next time. Our two families haven't seen each other for so many years, so it's time to get closer." Yang Ling smiled lightly, but Xia Fian smiled when she heard the words. If the two families can resume contact, it will be regarded as a strong alliance, which will be beneficial to both parties. Ding, you fulfilled the old lady's wish for you to accept the red envelope. Wish value +1, current progress, May 10th. 3,000 million is now in hand. It really is a worthwhile trip. It was already dark now, and on the bench in the villa park, Xiaofian took out the 1 billion chef from her bag, handed it to Yang Ling, and said seriously, Ling, so many things happened. I don't know how to thank you. I don't need the money. I gave it to you. I hope it will help you in your future career. 1 billion. Just put it in your hands? Yang Ling opened his mouth. If it was someone else, he would definitely refuse without hesitation, but Xiaofian was different. She is a system-related character whose intimacy has reached full value. According to the system's instructions, this woman has been bound to Yang Ling in the dark, and her whole body and mind belong to him completely. There is not much difference between putting this 1 billion with Xiaofian or with herself. After hesitating for a while, he took the check and said with a smile, "All right, I'll keep the money here first. If you want to use it, you can come and get it any time." Xiaofian smiled lightly and shook her head, then suddenly blushed and said, "My 2 rooms are next door. If you are free tonight, you can come to my room." This hint is a bit obvious. There is a line in the system description. After the intimacy reaches the full value, the other party will actively want to come over for intimacy. No, a beauty like Xiaofian actually brought this up on her own initiative. Yang Ling touched his nose and suddenly leaned into her ear and whispered, "By the way, there are still a few acupuncture points that I didn't press last time. Now there's no one around. Why don't we try?" Xiaofian's face turned red immediately, and she said shyly, "You hate me, so I'll ignore you." She covered her hot cheeks and walked quickly towards the villa. "Ding, you have crushed Xiaofian's wish to be with you tonight. Attribute point +1. Yang Ling laughed, walked around the park, took all of today's subsistence allowances, and went back to his room to rest. In the middle of the night, everything is silent. Yang Ling, who was sleeping, seemed to sense something and woke up suddenly. I saw a red figure flashing past outside the window and disappeared into the darkness in the blink of an eye. Yang Ling frowned, put on his clothes, and jumped out of the window and disappeared after a few ups and downs. A moment later, in a clearing in the mountains, Yang Ling narrowed his eyes and scanned the surrounding environment. Suddenly, the voice of the system sounded from the bottom of his heart. "Ding, the range perception skill is activated." He didn't even think about it. His figure exploded back. And where he was standing just now, a red figure appeared. It was the girl in red who surprised him during the day. Missing a hit, the red-clothed girl chuckled and suddenly disappeared in place with a blur. The next moment, 3 sharp flying knives shot towards him at an extremely tricky angle, almost blocking all of Yang Ling's escape routes. Ding, Lingbo Weibu's skill is activated. The moment the skill was activated, Yang Ling almost teleported out sideways, dodging the deadly attack of the flying knife in the blink of an eye. However, at this moment, the weird red-clothed girl behind him reappeared, grabbing her back fiercely. Ding, Taijiquan proficiency activated. Yang Ling tilted his center of gravity like a tumbler, then turned around and punched quickly. This woman missed another blow, and after a coquettish shout, she started a hand-to-hand fight with Yang Ling. Fist and palm clashed, and the two matched nearly 100 moves in the blink of an eye, but they were tied. Boom! The fists of the two collided, and each stepped back a few steps, with disbelief in their eyes. The red-clothed girl spoke first. "What are you?" Yang Ling sneered and asked back, "What are you?" "I." Giggle. The red-clothed girl giggled coquettishly and said, "I'm the monster you're talking about." As she spoke, her eyes turned scarlet, and there was a frightening light in her eyes. Her whole temperament changed drastically, and a terrifying aura rushed towards her face. And Yang Ling clearly saw that behind her, there was a fluffy tail, which was actually a pink foxtail. Fox demon. Yang Ling was taken aback, took another step back, and said, "There really are monsters in this world." The girl in red was slightly taken aback when she heard the words, and said in surprise, "You don't know about us? Your business." There was a puzzled expression on Yang Ling's face, and this expression also fell into the eyes of the fox demon opposite. She was taken aback for a moment, then giggled and said, "So you don't know anything? A man whose life level is the same as mine, but who doesn't know anything is very good, giggling." She laughed tremblingly. Seeing that Yang Ling was still confused, she laughed even more. "I thought no one in this world could reach this level except me and that woman. I didn't expect there to be such a little man as you." Yang Ling frowned and said, "You lured me out. Didn't you just want to tell me these things?" "The Taoist priest suddenly disappeared during the day. Is it your fault?" "Missing." The girl in red smiled lightly and said, "You misunderstood. He didn't disappear, but was killed by me." "Killed by you?" Yang Ling frowned and said, "Aren't you in the same group? Why did you kill him?" "I can kill whoever I want. Can you control me?" The girl in red giggled and said, "You are on the same level as us. Why bother to live with these mortals? Why don't you follow me? Let's play the world together." Yang Ling sneered and said, "Girl, I'm just an ordinary person. How can I play with monsters in the world?" "Oh." The expression of the girl in red turned cold. She said coldly, "You reject me?" Yang Ling was not afraid of her at all, but said lightly, "That's right. I just rejected you. What do? Ding, you shattered the wish of the girl in red. Attribute points +1. The atmosphere between the two suddenly became tense again. Electric arcs danced faintly all over Yang Ling's body, ready to deliver a fatal blow at any time. I don't know how long it took, but the girl in red suddenly restrained her momentum and said with a chuckle, it's interesting. I've been asleep for 800 years, and it's interesting to meet a kid like you when I wake up." While talking, her figure gradually became blurred, but there was still a charming voice in the air. "Your name is Yang Ling, right? Don't think you can beat me. We will meet again." The voice faded away, and Yang Ling looked at the sky, frowning slightly. The things that happened today became more and more bizarre, and he deeply realized that the world was far from being as simple as it appeared on the surface. Hearing that this, which means that she will come to him again, the most urgent thing now is to improve her strength. After quietly returning to his room, Yang Ling began to allocate the 5 attribute points obtained today, adding them to strength and agility respectively. In this way, his strength reached 47 and his agility was 45. After a night of nothing, the next morning, although the old man didn't wake up, the situation has completely stabilized. Several famous doctors in H City said it was a miracle. Within half a month, the old man should be able to walk on the ground. Now that nothing happened, Yang Ling and Xia Fian left and rushed back to S City. In Lu Muhan's villa, the female CEO who saw her mother couldn't care less, threw herself into her mother's arms like a little girl, and started crying. Ding, you have fulfilled Lu Muhan's wish to welcome her mother back. The wish value is +1, and the current progress is 9 out of 10. The promise between husband and wife. You have fulfilled the promise to Lu Muhan. The intimacy +20, the current intimacy has reached the full value. Ding, it is detected that the host has continuously increased the intimacy of 3 system-related characters to full value within a week and obtained a special achievement. King of Raiders. What? Achievement? Yang Ling was taken aback when he heard this, and hurriedly checked the attributes of the achievement. King of Strategies. After completing this achievement, All system-connected characters whose intimacy has reached full value will not object to other opposite sexes approaching you. At the same time, if nothing unexpected happens, the favorability between them will gradually increase over time. Seeing the attributes of this achievement, young Ling was a little dumbfounded. What kind of show operation is this? He doesn't have so much energy to pick up girls. The system's voice sounded again. Ding, congratulations to the host for getting a wish chest. Would you like to open it now? This was the main topic. Young Ling held back his excitement and planned to open the treasure chest after taking a bath and changing clothes at night. The mother and daughter must have a lot to say after their reunion. Young Ling was also very sensible and quietly left the villa. Now, he has a huge sum of money on him, and it is still a bit troublesome to transfer the $1,003,000,000 into his account. Fortunately, Mr. Xia's name was on the check, and the bank manager gave him a special channel. But even so, he also stayed from noon until nightfall. Looking at the large string of numbers in his account, young Ling felt unreal. The big ups and downs in life are too fast. A month ago, he was a pauper, but now he is a billionaire with assets of $1 billion. And for this $1 billion, it would be too wasteful to just eat interest, and money must be made to make money. Smiling slightly, young Ling walked towards Longwan Villa under the admiring eyes of all the bank staff. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Lu Muhan and Xia Fian looking at him with blushing faces. He touched his nose and asked, "Is there something on my face?" Xia Fian smiled softly. "Ling, come and sit." After young Ling sat on the sofa, Xia Fian said seriously, "Ling, starting today, I will move in and live with Muhan. If you want to do something to us, the other person must not be at home or already asleep. Can't let the two of us together." Young Ling felt that he was going to have a nosebleed, and Lu Muhan was so blushing that he could boil water. After the intimacy is full, can he let himself go? Do these two women know what topic they are talking about now? This is too exciting. Xia Fian also blushed a little, but she was older after all. She stared at Yang Ling and said, "What's your answer?" Yang Ling took a deep breath to calm himself down, and then said with a smile, "Just do as you discussed." Xia Fian chuckled when she heard the words, looked at her daughter, and said, "Muhan, didn't you say you have something to discuss with him?" As soon as the business was mentioned, Lu Muhan immediately became serious. She handed a document on the table to Yang Ling and said, "Ling, take a look." After Yang Ling took it, he swept it away and said lightly, "Are these people finally going to make a move?" Lu Muhan nodded and said, "Tomorrow the college entrance examination results will be announced. They have been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. The position of vice president is very important. Do you have any countermeasures?" Yang Ling chuckled and said, "They just thought that I would be successful in all subjects, and they kicked me out for this reason. But I think they might be disappointed." Seeing his disapproval, Lu Muhan frowned and said, "Ling, tomorrow is the company's monthly board meeting, and I hope you will attend it with me." Hearing this, Yang Ling looked at the beautiful female CEO, nodded slightly, and said, "Okay, let's go there tomorrow and see what tricks this group of people can play." At night, Yang Ling lay on the bed after bathing and changing and said in a deep voice, "System, draw the wish chest for me." Ding, the host chose to extract the treasure chest. "Please wait." It was in Sicilian mode again, and after another long wait, the system's voice finally sounded. "Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining a special item. The wish space with you. Portable wish space. In the absolute field where multiple dimensions are constantly jumping, the host has absolute control over it and can arbitrarily change the shape, gravity, and other data inside the space. This space can store items, and at the same time, the host can enter and exit at will, and system-related characters whose intimacy reaches the full value can also enter and exit this space after obtaining the consent of the host. The current level of the portable wish space, LV1, the current area, 10 cubic meters, and the area will expand 10 times for each level." Yang Ling was a little dazed. The wish space was too strong. Not only could he stuff things, but he could even get in. Another day when he encounters an attack, he hides in the space, and the atomic bomb will not be able to blow up. With a thought, he disappeared on the bed and appeared in the wish space the next moment. The boxy space was very small, surrounded by chaos. Ling pointed his fingertips forward, imagining the appearance of a house in his heart, and immediately a miniature villa appeared in front of him. Sure enough, all wishes come true. In this space, he is the real God. Then he arbitrarily arranged the small space to his liking. The whole space was filled with the fragrance of flowers. Ling leaned against a big tree and looked at the square blue sky and white clouds above his head. A faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. As expected, it was something Lu Muhan found out of the box. This wish space is stronger than the dragon's soul sword of mother and child. The only fly in the ointment is that it is too small, so it needs to be upgraded slowly. But in time, after this space is upgraded to -cubic meters, you can build a big palace yourself, and then capture all the girls from the outside world and bring them in to live in. Wouldn't you become a harem? This is too cool, right? It's a pity that his current wish points are seriously lacking. Thunder control, space repelling, dragon soul sword, and wish space are all good things. If you can't become fat with one bite, it seems that you can only take it slowly. After leaving the wish space, perhaps because he was too excited, Ling tossed and turned on the bed, unable to fall asleep, so he simply got up and planned to take a shower before falling asleep. But he didn't expect that as soon as he walked in a bathroom, he bumped into Lu Muhan, who came out head-on. The snow-white body was not covered at all, and the perfect curves were simply a masterpiece of God. Looking at Lu Muhan, who was naked in front of him, Ling was stunned. And Lu Muhan was also stunned. He even forgot to cover him and let Ling look at him. Time seemed to be frozen, but in the next moment, the two reacted abruptly. Lu Muhan hurriedly wrapped himself in a bath towel with mist in his eyes and said in a trembling voice, What are you doing?" Ling smiled dryly. "Coincidentally, I just want to take a bath." Lu Muhan stammered and said, "Didn't Mom tell you that the third floor is the women's bathroom, and your bathroom is on the second floor?" "Ah, good." Ling responded with his mouth, but his eyes were very honest. Lu Muhan felt his heart beat faster when he stared at him. Not only his face, but even the skin on his body turned red. Suddenly, she took a step back shyly, but accidentally slipped her foot and threw herself into Ling's arms. The bath towel slowly fell to the ground, and the nephrite jade was warm and fragrant in his arms. Ling was stunned. Looking down at Lu Muhan in her arms, she saw her eyes were tightly closed, her eyelashes were trembling slightly, and her face had an intoxicating blush. She was indescribably pretty. Who can withstand this? Ling fiercely hugged Lu Muhan in a princess hug, and under her surprised gaze, went straight back to his room. Lu Muhan seemed to have a premonition of something, and tears welled up. She looked at Ling and said timidly, wait a minute. We haven't been in love yet." Before he finished speaking, Ling threw him on the bed. "Ding, you have fulfilled Lu Muhan's wish to dedicate her first night to you. The wish value is +1, and the current progress is 10 out of 10. In the early morning of the second day, Ling woke up and wanted to stretch his waist, but found that he couldn't lift his hands. But Lu Muhan used his hands as a pillow and fell asleep. Looking at the female president who was sleeping soundly beside him, he couldn't help but blush slightly when he remembered what happened last night. The two of them are considered to be virgins who bid farewell, and they have truly become husband and wife. Looking at the time, it was almost 8 o'clock. He shook Lu Muhan lightly and said, "Get up." After Lu Muhan murmured softly, he turned over and continued to sleep. But not long after, she seemed to realize something and sat up suddenly, looking at Ling with shy and sweet eyes, as if she was still a little bit unwilling. It was nothing to hide. Ling looked at her snow-white body and couldn't move his eyes away for a while. What are you looking at?" Lu Muhan snorted softly. "I won't do it again in the morning, so hurry up and get up." Ling laughed, got up, and put on his clothes. If you say that a woman is a strange creature, before nothing happens, she will be on all kinds of defenses against you. But if something happens, she will not be on your guard at all. Lu Muhan explained this very well. This stunningly beautiful woman was completely defenseless against Yang Ling. She put on her clothes one by one in front of Yang Ling, without any intention of covering her up. Yang Ling was deeply afraid that he would not be able to resist doing something if he continued to look at it like this. So he hurriedly put on his clothes and went to wash up. After a while, Xiaofian blushed and looked at her daughter and son-in-law in front of her and coughed softly. Muhan, you were a little loud yesterday. Puff! Lu Muhan almost spit out the milk in her mouth. Her face was instantly blushed. She stomped on Yang Ling under the table and hummed softly, "It's all your fault." Yang Ling smiled and said, "Huh? Is it my fault? I don't know who turned over." Before he finished speaking, his mouth was blocked by a piece of bread. Lu Muhan glared at him bitterly, but after seeing his mother's funny expression, he lowered his head in shame, as if he was a child who did something wrong. Xiaofian smiled lightly and shook her head. "Hurry up and eat. The board meeting is about to begin." A moment later, at the entrance of the villa, Yang Ling looked at the two Rolls-Royce Phantoms in front of him and still sighed in his heart. This car is worth more than 2,000 million. If I were the former self, I might not be able to afford it even if I worked 10 lifetimes. Lu Muhan beside him said curiously, "Do you like this car? Then I will drive it for you in the future." "Huh? Really let me drive?" Lu Muhan blushed a little and said, "You can open it if you want. Isn't mine yours?" Yang Ling was slightly taken aback by what he said, and then a smile appeared on his face. There is no distinction between husband and wife. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is yours. He laughed and said, "I don't have a driver's license yet. I can't drive this car." Lu Muhan gave him a blank look, but at this moment Lu Lan said angrily, "Uncle, miss, can you stop flirting? Medicine meeting." Oh. After Lu Muhan came to his senses, his face flushed slightly, and he pulled Yang Ling to sit in the back row. Seeing this, Lu Lan smiled and shook her head, started the car, and drove forward steadily. There was a piece of piano music in the car. No one said a word. Lu Muhan's little hand gently held Yang Ling's hand. She looked out the window with a faint smile on her mouth. She seemed to enjoy the tranquility of this moment. A moment later, Muhua Group headquarters. Lu Muhan and Yang Ling got out of the car one after another. Han Yakin and Yin Xing, who were guarding the gate, were slightly taken aback when they saw this. They didn't expect these two important figures to come here together. After saying hello, Lu Muhan frowned and said, "Manager Han, how is the situation upstairs?" Han Yakin smiled wryly. The three directors have already persuaded some of the remaining minority shareholders, and the situation does not look very optimistic. Is it? Lu Muhan nodded. A faint light flickered in his eyes. On the other side, the staff in the building looked at Yang Ling in shock. The legendary, powerful, and almost omnipotent vice president finally appeared, but what they never expected was that the president was so young and handsome. A hostess lady at the front desk wanted to get up to say hello, but just as she stood up, she saw Yang Ling's smiling gaze. She trembled and sat back down without standing still. "Oh my God, this is too handsome. Mom, I'm in love. Your Excellency President looks so kind. Do you want to try to treat him to dinner?" The ladies and sisters were all staring at each other, and the male employees of the company also showed affection for Yang Ling. The charm value is not only able to attract the opposite sex, but also includes temperament, affinity, and so on. Yang Ling's charm value of 16 points is already very high. He is good-looking and friendly, and has strong abilities. This affinity is simply off the charts. What else can male employees say besides envy? Taking the elevator all the way to the 27th floor, when Yang Ling and Lu Muhan walked into the spacious conference room, everything that should be there had already arrived. Seeing the two of them coming in, someone immediately said, "Director Lu, all the directors of the group are sitting here. Isn't it against the rules for you to bring an irrelevant person here?" The person who spoke was fat, and besides Lu Muhan, one of the other three major shareholders of the group, Director Li. Lu Muhan frowned and was about to say something, but Yang Ling waved his hand to signal her to be calm. Lu Muhan, who has always been the one in the group, actually did not say a word. nodded and sat at the head seat at the front of the conference room. There are 20 large and small shareholders sitting here, each of whom holds at least 1% of the shares of Muhua Group. In other words, everyone here is a billionaire. But at this moment, they looked at Yang Ling in shock. Everyone knew that Lu Muhan and Yang Ling had a very close relationship, but judging by the current situation, this is already at the level of obedience, right? Many people frowned slightly, but Yang Ling took out his phone calmly and began to operate it casually. The fat man just said angrily, "Mr. Yang, you're also the vice president of the group? Can you look like it? If you want to play with your phone, go out and play." Yang Ling glanced at him lightly and said, "Fatty, do you really want me to go out?" Li Dong sneered. "I don't know what your relationship is with the Lu family, but rules are rules. On the board of directors, only group directors can come in. If you still have some professional ethics, I invite you out." "Oh," Yang Ling smiled lightly. "Then what if I own shares?" "You?" Everyone laughed when they heard the words, and another director, Huang Dong, said, "Mr. Yang, there are a lot of retail investors who hold shares in our Muhua Group, but they're just a group of stock speculators. Do you think they're qualified to participate in this competition?" Meeting. Everyone laughed when they heard the words, and Yang Ling actually laughed too. I just heard him say lightly, "I'm sorry, everyone. I just bought a large amount of equity in the hands of retail investors with a high position of 1 billion. This should be 3% of the shares, right?" As soon as this remark came out, everyone was stunned. After they hurriedly took out their mobile phones to check, they were all dumbfounded. Just now, someone really bought a large amount of Muhua Group shares, as many as they wanted, a total of 1 billion. And the name of this person's account is Yang Ling. Li Dong tremblingly said, "Impossible. Even if Lu Muhan wants to give you 1 billion, he still has to go through various procedures, audits, etc., and there is no time. How can you have so much money?" It is true that it is difficult for a company to transfer a huge sum of 1 billion yuan, but that is for the company. Xia Fian's name on the 1 billion check to Yang Ling was Mr. Xia's name. This master is a real big shot. Who would dare to make things difficult? Once and twice, it was done very neatly. Seeing the shocked expressions on everyone's faces, Lu Muhan had a woman's proud smile on her lips. She tugged at Yang Ling's sleeve and said, Ling, why did you waste the money your mother gave you?" Yang Ling smiled slightly and said, "I plan to buy shares with this money. It's not considered a waste of money. Don't worry, the billion will become 100 billion in the future." Hearing Yang Ling's words, Lu Muhan's heart was sweet. Don't care if it's bragging. Which woman doesn't want her man to have ambition? She nodded slightly and stopped talking, while Yang Ling looked at the audience and said indifferently, "How about it? Am I qualified to be here now?" "Humph!" Li Dong snorted softly, and the hostility in the eyes of the three big directors became more and more intense. With Yang Ling's 3% stake, he is already the 5th director of the group, and he is clearly with Lu Muhan, so it's strange that they have a good face. Seeing that no one had any objections, Lu Muhan said calmly, "Then the meeting is now." The first topic is about the appointment of personnel at all levels of management. Some time ago, Director Yang went to investigate and found some very bad phenomena. The Director Yang she was talking about was Yang Ling, and because she owned 3% of the shares, she was naturally promoted to 1 level. Lu Muhan went on to say, "I propose to set up a grassroots research team to investigate the management of the headquarters and branches across the country, and then reappoint them according to the situation." As soon as the words fell, Li Dong said in a sly manner, "I agree with Lu Dong's proposal with both hands, but this research should start from top to bottom, right here in our conference room. There are people whose abilities and roles are completely mismatched." "That is," another director sneered. "Director Yang, you don't know you're on the news, do you? Now people all over the country regard you as a negative teaching material for the college entrance examination. You said that if the group makes you the vice president, wouldn't it make the whole world laugh?" Everyone burst into laughter when they heard the words. Lu Muhan frowned and hummed softly. Companies have always placed equal emphasis on ability and education in selecting talents. Mr. Yang's performance may not be ideal, but during his tenure, He has made a net profit of tens of millions of profits for the TC website under the group. This ability is enough to show his excellence. When Li Dong heard this, he sneered and said, I also know about this, but it was just hyped up through the reception that day, and it will return to its original shape once the heat passes. In addition, Director Yang has never been on duty for a day since he became the vice president. I don't think such a professional ethics can hold the position of vice president. Lu Muhan's expression sank when she heard the words. She sneered and said, Why? Is Director Li questioning me and my grandfather's selection criteria? Li Dong also sneered. Don't dare. I'm just making a suggestion. He looked at the other directors, and Zhang Dong, a small shareholder with two beards, said, Lu Dong, don't mind if I speak straighter. Although your family owns 51% of the group's shares, you can't talk about it. Look at all the people here who supports Director Yang as the vice president. As soon as this remark came out, all the directors almost clearly expressed their opposition, and Yang Ling was the only one standing by Lu Muhan's side in the entire conference room. Lu Muhan scanned the audience with cold eyes and said with a sneer, I'm the chairman of the group, and it's not up to you who will be the vice president. I know you are not convinced by me and my Lu family, but so what? Muhua Group was founded by my father. If you don't like it, you can sell the shares and leave. I will tell you clearly, I will take as much as I sell. If you still want to get a dividend, just shut up. This statement can be described as extremely domineering, and all the directors in the venue were stunned for a while without saying a word. Yang Ling rubbed his chin, but he understood the real controllers of Muhua Group. In the future, he will use the Muhua Group as a fulcrum to enter and occupy various fields one by one, and the scale of the group will become unprecedentedly large. This group of directors is really troublesome. You can't let these people spend money for nothing, can you? Suddenly, his heart moved, and he smiled slightly. Everyone, let's open the sky and speak honestly. I know you don't like me. The position of vice president is in my hands, which hinders you from making money. I will also give you a bottom line. As long as I am here, I will not let you make money through abnormal means. He stood up with his hands behind his back, slowly paced around the round conference table, and said lightly, since everyone is incompatible, why not do this? I use my 3% equity to bet on my college entrance examination results. There is still more than half an hour before the release of the rankings. If my grades do not enter the top 3 in the country, then my shares will belong to you. But if I reach the top 3 in the country, you will also give me 3% of the shares. How about it? As soon as this remark came out, everyone was shocked. National top 3, you are dreaming. The bottom 3 are almost the same. Li Dong sneered and said, just like you are still in the top 3 in the country. If you really have this result, I will live broadcast and eat shit. Another director also laughed loudly and said, Director Yang, the list will be released soon. Why are you pretending to be aggressive here? 3% of the shares are enough for you to eat for a lifetime. Why go to this muddy water? Go home and stay. Yang Ling glanced at the group of people and said with a faint smile, Everyone is amazing. Aren't you sure I can't get results? If you really come to this point, don't you dare to take a chance? 3% shares, 1 billion. Don't you want it? These words are very tempting, and all the directors are a little ready to move after hearing these words. The 3 big directors looked at each other with hesitation in their eyes. The fat Dong Wang wanted to stand up, but he was surprised when he suddenly saw Li Dong's expression. I saw this person shook his head slightly, with a serious look on his face, signaling him not to act rashly. We have been old friends for decades, so Wang Dong naturally understands what this means. This expression fell into Yang Ling's eyes, and a strange color flashed in his eyes, as if he had thought of something. A mocking smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. People are greedy. In the face of huge interests, how many people can control it? The 3 big directors stood still, but the others couldn't sit still. Mr. Zhang stood up abruptly and said with a sneer, Young people, don't pretend to be too aggressive. The price of pretending to be aggressive is often ruined. I'll just pay 1% and bet on this round with you. Who else is willing to follow up? Someone took the lead, and immediately several middle-aged people stood up and shouted, "I pay 0.5%. I pay 1%. I pay 1.5%. Seeing this, Yang Ling laughed and said, "Okay, Director Zhang, Director He, Director Fei, and Director Chun, you are really brave enough." He said loudly, "Where's Han Yakin?" The general manager's office and the heads of various departments have been waiting at the door of the conference room. Han Yakin immediately pushed the door open when she heard Yang Ling call her name. "President Yang, I'm here." Yang Ling beckoned, signaling her to come to him, and then whispered in her ear. Han Yakin listened. Her beautiful eyes widened little by little. She couldn't help being surprised. This was a 10 billion gamble, and from various perspectives, Yang Ling would definitely lose. She was really a little scared and hurriedly looked at Lu Muhan as if she was asking for the opinion of the top director. Even a woman like Lu Muhan was a little frightened at this moment. She asked in a low voice, "Ling, this matter is very important. Do you want to think about it again?" Yang Ling smiled slightly and said, "If we make concessions, they will only make progress. Don't worry, just listen to me." From the perspective of the group leader, Lu Muhan did not approve of such a gambling behavior. And besides, the gambling had no chance of winning at all. But as a wife, looking at Yang Ling's firm eyes, she felt inexplicably at ease. Seeing Lu Muhan's slight nod, Han Yakin took a deep breath, sighed inwardly, then nodded. "Mr. Yang, wait a moment. I'll go and prepare the contract." Yang Ling smiled faintly and turned on the giant TV in the meeting room. Some platforms broadcast live broadcasts of the college entrance examination rankings. On the screen, Luo Shan, the king of bobcats, was the reporter who wrote a close-up of Yang Ling's sleeping incident that day, earning enough attention. The scene was in a large square in the capital city. 3 giant screen TVs were connected to the internet one after another, waiting for the last time to arrive. Luo Shan held the microphone and said incessantly, "Everyone, there are still 10 minutes until the results of this year's college entrance examination will be announced. All major companies and colleges are concerned about who will be among the best this year. But I believe that the audience in front of the TV is also concerned about one person." Immediately, the screen of Yang Ling's interview that day appeared on the TV. Everyone in the square burst into laughter. This interview video has been compiled into a joke by various masters, and Yang Ling has become one of the internet celebrities of the year. Now the atmosphere suddenly became lively, and everyone was waiting to see how many points Yang Ling, the pretender, could get in the test. Many people have started to record videos. It seems that a new round of Ghost and Animal Storm is coming. In the conference room, Lu Muhan gently rubbed the center of his brows, feeling that he had a headache and his eyelids were twitching. The funny person on TV is her husband, which makes her feel a little ashamed. All the directors looked at Yang Ling leisurely. Wang Dong, one of the 3 major shareholders, laughed and said, "Xiao Yang, why are you bothering? Isn't it okay to keep this 1 billion and slowly melt it down? Why are you pretending to be forceful? Scores will come out in a while. My brother will book a few boxes at night. Let you change your mood and have fun, haha." Everyone laughed, and the shareholders who had bet with Yang Ling just now laughed even more. One of them said loudly, "Where's Han Yakin? Is the contract ready?" Han Yakin worked very efficiently and quickly finished it and handed it to Yang Ling with a wry smile. She whispered, "Yang, Dong, the contract will not take effect if you don't sign it. Should you think about it again?" Before he finished speaking, the contract in his hand was snatched by the bearded middle-aged man. After browsing it roughly, he signed his name with a few strokes. Yang Ling smiled lightly and said, "Mr. Zhang, are you in such a hurry to send money?" While handing over the contract to another director beside him, Mr. Zhang sneered and said, "What are you still pretending to do when you are about to die?" Seeing that the other people had signed, Zhang Dong slapped the contract in front of Yang Ling with a bang and said coldly, "Men should be responsible for what they say. Dong Yang, you won't refuse to sign, will you?" Yang Ling smiled faintly. "If I sign this word, this contract will take effect. You bet all your wealth with me. You really don't regret it?" Everyone laughed loudly. Zhang Dong sneered and said, "You can earn 1 billion with just one signature. Do you think I will regret it? Stop talking nonsense. Sign it." Everyone in the arena was staring at Yang Ling. Lu Muhan unconsciously held Yang Ling's hand. Her hand trembled slightly, and she could see that she was very nervous. Director Li Dong sneered and said, "Lu Dong, isn't it too late to regret now?" Yang Ling patted Lu Muhan's hand lightly and signed his name under her wry smile. "Ding, you fulfilled Zhang Dong and others' wish for you to sign, and the wish value is +1. Ding, you have crushed Lu Muhan and Han Yakin's wish that you don't want to sign, attribute point +1. After handing the contract to Han Yakin, who also had a wry smile on his face, Yang Ling said lightly, "Since they have all been signed, everyone should put their shares in the company's confidential account first. If anyone loses, they don't have to go so far. The procedure is over. Just leave the meeting room." After signing this contract, it already has legal effect and is the same whether the shares are submitted or not. Zhang Dong and others decided on Yang Ling and transferred the shares on the spot, and Yang Ling also transferred the shares to the company's first-level confidential account. For a while, the whole conference room fell silent. Only Luo Shan on the TV was still chattering. As time passed, Lu Muhan and Han Yakin, who was standing by one side, were sweating nervously. Several directors who participated in the gambling game also began to fidget. Only Yang Ling looked calm, as if everything had nothing to do with him. After a while, Luo Shan on the TV suddenly exclaimed, "You can check the results. Everyone, please look at the big screen. The top 10 names in the National College entrance examination will appear one by one starting from number 10. For a moment, everyone raised their spirits. On the big screen, the first name appeared, Zhuang Xinrong. The admission ticket number was 1234, and the score was 730 points. Luo Shan laughed and said, "Number 10, Zhuang Xinrong, it's really a good number. Congratulations, Zhuang Xinrong. The future will be bright and bright, and the future is boundless." At the same time, there was a burst of cheers immediately in the square. I believe Zhuang Xinrong herself will also cheer. With the appearance of each name, the cheers never stopped, and in the meeting room, Li Dong said leisurely, "Yang Dong, I don't know what your admission ticket number is. Don't you check your grades? Or did you give up the treatment?" Yang Ling took out the admission ticket from his pocket and threw it on the table. Everyone looked at it carefully, and there were 4 numbers 9527 written on it. They were taken aback for a moment, then laughed at the same time. 9527. Are you here to be funny? Director Yang, did you get this number from Master Xing? As expected of an internet celebrity on P-Site, even the number is so unique. Yang Ling said lightly, "I don't think it makes any difference to you whether I check the number or not. Just watch TV." It was true that they didn't care about Yang Ling's score, as long as he didn't enter the top 3. Hearing this, everyone looked at the big screen again. Luo Shan said with a smile on his face, "Today's top 3 will be announced soon." Everyone is optimistic about the little girl Guan Chenxi from Jiangnan province in advance. I wonder how many points this genius who is both beautiful and intelligent can get. While talking, a name appeared on the big screen. It was Guan Chenxi. Admission ticket number 6217. Score 747 points. Everyone gasped. The full score was 750 points. This pretty little girl got 747 points. Really amazing. But they also discovered a problem at the same time. Guan Chenxi, the most favored player, only got number 747 with 3 points. How terrifying would the top 2 be? Could it be that there will be no full marks? Soon, another name appeared on the big screen. Su Qiling with 749 points. Those who were paying attention to the results of the college entrance examination all opened their mouths wide and almost stared their eyes out. It's another girl's name, and the score is 749 points. It's only 1 point away from full. This is really a genius among geniuses. Number 2749 points. Number 1 is not a perfect score. Everyone's eyes widened, waiting for the real chosen one to appear. But Yang Ling was also taken aback. Su Qiling, he knew this name. It was the name of the girl in red who appeared the night before. Fox Demon. Yang Ling's face darkened, and everyone in the meeting room burst into laughter. By now, anyone with a slightly normal mind would know that Yang Ling, a person who slept in the examination room, could possibly get full marks in all subjects. Zhang Dong laughed and said, Yang Dong, no, you have no shares, so I should call you Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang, you've spent a lot of money. My brother will be the host tonight. Please eat well. Before he finished speaking, he stopped abruptly like a cock being pinched by the neck. The entire conference room was silent. Needle drop could be heard throughout the square. People all over the country seemed to be frightened because on the big screen, in front of the TV, a name appeared. Yang Ling. Male, admission ticket number 9527, score 750 points. Time seemed to be frozen, and at the next moment, the audience was in an uproar, and the whole country was in an uproar. Impossible. How can that be? The serial pretender who slept in the college entrance examination to coerce the candidates got perfect scores in all subjects and was awarded the first prize in the college entrance examination. Everyone was stunned, and the bullet screen websites exploded directly, and Luo Shan, the host of the scene, was shocked on the spot and his jaw dropped, and he was speechless for a while. This was the second person whose jaw dropped from Yang Ling's shock. If it was said that Yang Ling used to act forcefully when he was being interviewed before, but now that the score came out, it became the highest level of acting force, invisible force. Ding! The system has detected that the host has shattered countless people's wishes to see you make a fool of yourself at the same time. Although you don't know you and cannot directly get attribute point rewards, you still triggered the hidden rewards. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the achievement. Master of Broken Dreams. Dream Breaker. When you crush someone's wish, there is a 3% chance that the other person will enter the state of bad luck. This state will last for 3 days. The host can take the initiative to cancel it, but it needs to consume 1 wishing point. Yang Ling was speechless. He found that whether it was the King of Raiders or the Master of Breaking Dreams, these achievements all had weird attributes. At this moment, the entire conference room was silent, and all directors were drenched in cold sweat. This force can get full marks in all subjects while sleeping in the college entrance examination. Is this him or a person? Are you sure it's not the reincarnation of Wenkuxing in the sky? Yang Ling scanned the audience, seeing everyone's expressions, and couldn't stop laughing to himself. His eyes finally fixed on Mr. Zhang and the others, and he said lightly, "Several, you can't wait to send money. Then I can only accept it." Ding! You shattered the desire of several directors to win the game. Attribute point +1. Yang Ling turned to the stunned Lu Muhan and said, "Director Lu, transfer the shares." Lu Muhan suddenly came back to his senses, and there was a look of admiration in Yang Ling's eyes. She held Yang Ling's hand almost instinctively. Her beautiful eyes seemed to say, "My husband is amazing." Being able to make the goddess show such an expression made Yang Ling feel extremely happy. He gently squeezed her little hand to indicate that there was someone else here. Ding! You have fulfilled Lu Muhan's wish for you to win the bet. Wish point +1. Lu Muhan's face flushed slightly, and without a word, he opened the company's confidential account with a computer and transferred the shares of several people directly to Yang Ling's name. His shares rose from 3% to 6%, 1 billion, and immediately became 20 billion. The faces of Zhang Dong and the others all turned pale. Suddenly, Zhang Dong seemed to lose control of his spirit. He stood up suddenly and roared, "Yang Ling, if you dare to deceive me, I will kill you." As he spoke, he even pounced on Yang Ling. Court death. Yang Ling's eyes flashed, and he got up and slapped him. Without any suspense, the person was sent flying out on the spot, bleeding all over the floor and passed out. Hearing the movement inside, Yin Xing and the others rushed in, but Yang Ling said indifferently, "Throw this person out. He has nothing to do with the company." This is not nonsense. Zhang Dong has a total of 1% of the shares, but this time it was directly emptied. Everyone outside already knew about Yang Ling's college entrance examination results. The general manager looked at him with fear in his eyes, while Yin Xing looked at Yang Ling in admiration and said loudly, "Yes, Director Yang." Two security guards came in and carried Dong Zhang out. Yang Ling looked at the rest of the people and said calmly, "You guys are no longer qualified to attend the board meeting. If you still have a little integrity, you can leave by yourself. Don't let our security guards." This is what Yang Ling said when he entered the door, and he returned it intact. The faces of the directors were as ugly as if they had eaten a dead fly. Seeing that Yang Ling's eyes were indifferent and Yin Xing was about to move, they knew that staying here any longer would definitely not please them. A fat director snorted coldly. "Yang Ling, blocking someone's money is like killing your parents. Today's business is not over." As he spoke, he walked towards the door bitterly, but Yang Ling snorted coldly. "Wait a minute." I saw him slowly approaching the fat man and asked in a deep voice, "Are you threatening me?" Fatty was stared at by his indifferent eyes, and his whole body fell into an abyss. He insisted, "It's not a threat, it's just a warning. Be careful when you go out." "Is it?" Yang Ling sneered, but didn't see any movement. The fat man felt a gust of wind blowing by his ears, and the next moment his hair at the temples was cut off by the roots. A coin was spinning in the distance. Yang Ling said lightly, "This is my way of warning. Remember, don't mess with me, because you can't afford to mess with me. Get out." Fatty's whole body was shaking nonstop, and he barely moved when he was held up by two security guards. "Ding, you shattered Fatty's desire to intimidate you. Attribute point +1. Ding, the dream breaker has been triggered, and this person has entered a state of bad luck." Sure enough, as soon as the man walked to the door, he suddenly stepped on a coin thrown by Yang Ling, slipped, and bumped his fat body against the guest table beside him. Who knows who was smoking on the dying guest table? The ashtray was not put away, and it fell directly, hitting the person's head, and he passed out immediately with a bloody head. The key point is that the security guard who rushed over to help also stepped on the coin and slipped and fell directly on the fat man, and he screamed in pain. After a while of flying around, Yang Ling's eyes widened. The passive attribute of this achievement is also a bit too wretched, right? But I like it. Seeing that the four losing directors had already left, Yang Ling withdrew his thoughts and said with a slight smile, "Manager Han, inform the information department to post a notice on the TC website saying that the top scorer in the college entrance examination has been invited for an exclusive interview, and the time will be short. Set it at 7 frowny face dash p.m. in 3 days' time." As soon as this remark came out, everyone was taken aback and then looked at Yang Ling with some admiration. With such a gimmick, I am afraid that the traffic of TC Network will directly explode in the past few days, and they will definitely be able to make a lot of money. Han Yakin giggled and said, "Don't worry, Director Yang, I will definitely convey it properly." Yang Ling nodded with a smile, then looked at Yin Xing and said, "The Ministry of Security has done a good job of keeping secrets. My body cannot be known to the outside world for the time being." Yin Xing said respectfully, "Got it. I'll go and arrange it right away." After the two left, everyone in the meeting looked at Yang Ling, whether they wanted to or not. There was a trace of admiration in their eyes. Being able to grasp business opportunities keenly and arrange everything immediately, this ability is enough to afford the position of vice president.